I had that fucking card. I had all the fucking undefeated 72 Dolphins. I had it twice, actually. The longest game twice. Those, I remember the cards. They were the ones with the green backs and the blue border lettering, bordering. And the card for the yellow ones for the Super Bowl 8 had Larry Zonka, the dive in the end zone. Him on the ground with 4 minutes.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
We are ready to rock. Howdy, howdy. Hope all is well out there on a beautiful Tuesday. We got a bunch of things to talk about today. I guess, yesterday was one of those awkward days because one of the things that I've had to do this my lifetime pretty much, because this is my 30th year doing this business. So obviously I've been a little tied to sports for a long time. The other day when we had a really bad NASCAR crash, I was preparing for a show on Sirius Mad Dog, and the crash happens. We had no idea the crash went on. So our boss calls above and tells our producer, "Why aren't you and O talking about the crash?" And so we're like, "What crash?" You know what I mean? Because it's NASCAR. We're not really following NASCAR like we do regular sports. So we weren't watching the race. It was on a Monday night because it was actually dragged over from Sunday because of the rain. And so I had prepared a whole show, guests, all kind. Not one thing had to do with NASCAR because far be it from me to be a NASCAR expert. Okay, I'll watch it because I actually enjoy NASCAR, but I can't tell you that I know a lot about it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to break down restrictor plates and everything, anything else that goes on with the craziness that is NASCAR. So yesterday, and when that happens, I had to change my entire show, and I ended up forcing myself into talking about NASCAR for 3 hours. And by the way, we actually did a pretty good job overall. And considering I don't know anything about NASCAR, but I guess the fact that I watch it at least and all that, it kind of, I was able to, do it, and we got some guests. And so yesterday, I plan all day the day before, during the evening, and then in the morning when I wake up early, I'm also then planning again for today's show, okay? It doesn't I don't just wake up 10 minutes before the show and say, all right, I'm ready to rock. Let me talk for 3-4 hours. It's not that easy to do that stuff. So you got to find all the material. So we find all that material, and then what happens yesterday, the news hits, and we lose Don Shula. And this happens minutes before we go on the air. So then this changes everything I was going to talk about yesterday. And so it kind of got us by surprise. We did the best we could to recover. We got your Richmond Webb and Keith Sims. I think that was pretty cool. And, today, look, this is the most Dolphin-intensive show out there. Look, we're a South Florida sports show. In general, we're going to be focused on the Dolphins and the Heat and the Canes and Miami Marlins and Florida Panthers and all the other local soccer teams too and all that stuff, and FIU and FAU football. We're going to talk about all the local stuff, always. That's always going to be front and center. And so today I felt like, okay, I was able to do a little bit of a service for Don Shula, but this man provided us so much more. So today I wanted to put together another show that we were more prepared for, getting ready for, obviously the passing of Don Shula. And like I talked about yesterday, this whole COVID thing may even affect how we even celebrate the man as he moves on to the next stage, right? And so today I wanted to bring on some more guests, and we got a star-studded lineup today. Larry Little, of course, the Hall of Famer, Booker T. Washington, Bethune-Cookman, 72 team will be joining us at 11:30 here at the bottom of the hour here in the first hour. Bob Baumhauer has been a friend of mine now for a while, going to Mobile all the time. The 5-time Pro Bowler from Palm Beach Gardens High School is going to stop by at 12:30. He was with the Finns in the late 70s to mid 80s. I'm sorry. Andy Cohen, who writes for Dolphins.com now, but he was a writer and editor of Dolphin Digest during the Shula era. So for those of us that, the Dolphin Digest back in the day was like a Bible, right? Like if you were a Dolphin back in the day, you had to have the Dolphin Digest. Let me just put it that way, okay? It's like a kid that liked music back in the day. You stayed up on Saturday night because you wanted to see Don Kushner's rock concert, okay? You had to. So Andy Cohen was part of a lot of great, covered Shula for a long time, knows him well. So we're going to get his perspective at 1 o'clock. See, you gave me time to prepare now, Troy Stratford, Rookie of the Year back in 87 for the Miami Dolphins. Played in another era for Shula. We're going to talk to Troy at 1:30. Friend of mine for a long time, co-host, all kinds of stuff. I know Troy very well. Tom Garfinkel is going to stop by at 2:15. The Dolphin president is going to join us. So we'll talk to him about his thoughts on Coach Shula and what they plan to do in order to honor Coach Shula. So I think we've kind of put together maybe one of the most ass-kicking shows out there and probably the best show out there in order to honor Don Shula today. Because I figured, you got me by surprise yesterday. You hit me with the left hook. You stumbled me a little bit. I used the ropes to gain my leverage a little bit here. I bounced back. I gave you Webb and Sims, right? Then I went to the corner, all right, because the bell rung, and I had my 90 seconds to recover, right? Or 60, right? 60 seconds to recover. Minute, right? And so basically that's me overnight here, right, ready to, and now I've come back with a flurry now. And so we're ready to rock, and we got 5 awesome guests for you. I have a 6th guest I'm working on, okay? But he hasn't confirmed yet. I smoke a ton of cigars, but he has not confirmed to join us in 53 minutes. I asked him to join us this way. We'll see if he. No, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I don't even want to give it away because if I was going to give you a clue, that was going to give it away completely. But anyway, so we're working on that. So we'll have hopefully another guest for you that is a very memorable guest too, overall. So there we go. George Arthur goes Big O with the connections. Nice. It's not that I got connections, bro. I've been in this 30 years. I'm just old. That's all. That's all it is. I've been in it long enough that I picked up a couple phones, a couple friends along the way. Some of them happen to be Hall of Famers. Some of them have to be famous ex-Dolphins. Some of them I covered, of course, when they were players, and I was a beat guy. So all those kind of things. So it's no big deal, but I think it's something that you guys would want. It's not like there's a ton of other things really to talk about today, and Coach Shula deserves this. So if you have any of your own memories, you can send them in here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line at 786-322-1105. Any good memories you have that you thank Shula for, because, that's what we have to do as fans. And while it's a sad moment of his passing, we can't make it all about being depressed, because this man lived 90 years. This man lived a full life. And we have to remember the smiles he put on all of our faces. And that's important, because when I remember my dad, who passed away at the age of 51, and I'm 53, okay, and I was, in my early 20s when this happened. And I don't like to remember his final days. I don't like to remember his final couple of months. I don't remember those. I try to actually almost erase it out of my mind, to be honest with you. Hospital bed, home, deteriorating, all that stuff, I take it out of my memory. What I remember is going to a Dolphins game with my dad. What I remember is going fishing with my dad in the Keys, going skin diving, going fishing, all that kind of stuff, right? Or whether it's him popping in the 8-track with the little conjunto universal, mira la bolita como sube, como baja, ay como sube, whatever it was, okay? Dolores, mama, donde ven pa' acá. Anyway, whatever it was, those are the things I remember. I remember taking a big cajachina on our boat and going over to the island that has the monument right off of Star and Hibiscus. You ever seen that little island that's got the monument? People park there all the time. We would be one of those people that would park back in the late 70s and 80s and cook a pig there and hang out for the day. That's what I remember. Traveling with my dad. I'm going to remember all the good moments. Going with him. Remember when I wore the Sugar Ray Leonard Lalonde shirt from Las Vegas, from Caesars? Who took me there? My dad. Those are the things that I am going to remember. And when we talk about Don Shula, I want to do the same thing. I want to remember a lot of the good, because that's all there really is. Okay? That's what's there, because when we think of that man, it brings a smile to our face. When we think of that man, it brings a prideful smile to your face, because you knew what your team was in those days. You knew what it stood for. You also knew the opponent respected you. The opponent's fans respected your team. It was one of those things. And that's why I was talking about yesterday that I wish he could have hung on just a little bit more to watch, Chris Greer and Brian Flores turn this mother around. Because it's going to happen. We're going to get back to that point. And I wanted him to see that. And so today, we're going to bring on a lot of guests to talk about Don Shula, and we're going to talk about a lot of the good things. Because that's what I remember. I'm going to remember him bringing us Merino. I'm going to remember him creating Woodstock out of nothing. I'm going to remember him adjusting to the Scabs and making us root for the Scabs. And the Scabs were actually a pretty decent team compared to the other Scabs. You know what I'm saying? And we're like, there is Shula once again. It was just, there was an example all the freaking time. And those are the things that bring a smile to my face, and that's what he did for us. And in hindsight now, and we see what we've gone through over the last 20 years, it's one of those things that it's a constant reminder of how it used to be. you know? And everybody says, well, you got to tank, you got to lose and get a high draft pick. And then you sit there and you go, well, how come Shula always kept his teams as a contender and he never had a high draft pick? Remember how I always tell you guys, it's not where you pick, it's who you pick, right? I mean, think about it. It's the way it is. Miami could have chosen not to take Tua and go with the safe pick, the offensive line, like I've said, but they went with Tua because they knew that if they hit, it's going to be special. And so roll the dice. You got a ton of other picks. Makes sense. Take that chance. These are chances you have to take, right? And Joe Robbie back in the day took the chance of trading for a young Don Shula. Paid off. Just like Mickey Harrison traded for Pat Riley. Paid off. Sometimes you got to take those kind of chances. And then you got to hope that it pays off. And Don Shula was one of those guys that just for all of us, especially those of us that lived it, okay, if you didn't live it, I can't explain it to you. You know? I can't do it. And now, let me give you an example of how I can explain it to you. A little bit off the football beaten path, but in basketball. And I was watching it 2 days ago on the Michael Jordan The Last Dance. Did you notice when Michael got perturbed about the Clyde Drexler comparisons? And I saw that. And remember how I told you I can't explain to young people Shula unless you lived it. Well, I notice how young people nowadays, they live stats completely. I see young writers. They write their entire story based on stats. And Jimmy Johnson had a line called "Stats are for losers," because the stats can be spun any way you want a lot of times. And the stats never really tell you the whole story. Why did this guy score, the kid from Phoenix, when he scored 70 in a game? Well, why did he score 70? Well, that's because everybody was setting him up and the other team wasn't playing any defense and they didn't care. It wasn't because he's great and they were constantly double teaming him, trying to stop him. No. It was a joke of a game. But if you look at the stats and just the stats, you think it was this incredible performance. No, it's a heck of a shooting performance, but not really a great performance, because if you looked at what was going on in the game, you really knew what was going on. The Booker really, just one of those funny games that really don't mean anything, and they made it a joke, basically. Well, Clyde Drexler, back in those days, people were comparing him to Michael and saying, well, they're kind of the same player. And again, you looked at their shooting percentages, 50 to 49. Three-pointer, 32 to 318. Not much of a difference. Both were mediocre three-point shooters. MJ would hit a three when you needed it. It was something that he really wanted to do a lot. Steals, MJ 2.5, Clyde 2. Assists, 5.3 MJ, Clyde 5.6. Rebounds, 6.2 Jordan, 6.1 Clyde. The difference in the points, 30 and 20. That's the only difference. And again, stats are deceiving. I could tell you, well, Clyde had to kind of share with a whole team, whereas MJ was the man, so he probably took more shots and was able to score more. But you look at the stats, and they're kind of, pretty close. And a young person would look at that and say, well, Clyde Drexler, if you put him on Jordan's team, they win all those championships. And I tell you that if you put Jordan on those teams, you switch Clyde and MJ, I don't know if you win one. Maybe one. Maybe one. I don't know if Pippen is nearly as good next to Clyde as he is next to Michael. I don't know if Pippen reaches his pinnacle and becomes one of the 50 greatest players of all time, because he made it thanks to Michael. I don't care what anybody tells me, because I witnessed it, how raw he was when he got in there. And so if anybody would tell me, hey, Clyde and MJ are kind of the same player, I would laugh at you. I would laugh at you. Deep down inside, I want to slap you silly because you're saying something so blasphemous, so stupid, so ignorant that there's no way that you would even say that if you watched both players. I don't care what the stats tell you. They weren't even close. And when Michael was bothered by it, it's because he knew they weren't even close. So I just thought of that, and it's a lot of, and I hate to play the, hey, I'm the old man, get off my lawn routine and all that. And I know I do it often. Every once in a while I'll come up, especially with music. I'll do it a lot. But these are moments in sports that I can't explain to people that did not live it. And you won't be able to understand what I'm talking about even by going to YouTube. Okay? You just won't. There's no way you'll get what I'm talking about even by YouTube. You had to live it. And Shula, you had to live it. The good thing is for you young people out there, you're going to get that feeling again now. It's coming, man. It's coming because now I'm watching a group of individuals that they know how to build a football team. You know? And they understand what it takes to win because they're building it from the inside out. And to me, that's where you get really, really smart because that's how you set your team up for a long time to come. And you keep drafting and you keep developing from inside out. And that's what you're going to see with this team. And it makes a lot of sense. By the way, you can reach out to us in a couple of ways. One, on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105. You can reach out to us here on the YouTube chat board. As always, ready to go for you guys. We've got the super chat going on, and we thank all of you out there for always keeping us, in your thoughts and supporting us in any way you can with subscribing to the YouTube channel, sharing the YouTube link with your friends, send it to them on a text, post it on one of your social media pages or all your social media pages, giving us the thumbs up when you're watching, however it is, man, sharing on our super chat, doesn't matter, many ways, and we appreciate it all. When you visit our sponsors, please make sure you mention us. Speaking of that, tomorrow we're going to be at VSS West Pines at 12397 Pembroke Road. Let's do a little roll call here. Good morning, Bill.
Yeah, good morning, man. Good morning, everybody. The only thing you forgot, how they used to call Clyde the Glide the Jordan of the West.
Right, yeah.
Which, like you pointed out.
Right.
Only in statistics.
Right. Just like
what he brought to the table in a game. So just the way they carried themselves, just the way Jordan would get pissed off. Clyde was so easygoing and laid back and soft-spoken.
Yeah. He was Pete Sampras in a basketball
uniform. He would
uniform.
never get in anybody's face.
Yeah. No, it's no, not even. It's like Harold Miner. We labeled the poor kid Baby Jordan, and only because he could dunk, but he had and bald, and he put his tongue out. But outside of that, he had no other comparisons to Jordan because we're always looking for the next Jordan. We always want to label the next Jordan. Soon, in a couple of years, hey, who's the next Tom Brady? That's just the way it's going to be. Andy Raphael, John Rouse, Chad, Marcion, Alan, Flipside Fishing, Alexa, George Arthur, Josh, all chiming in. We appreciate you. Andre V is chiming in from Portugal. Troy Ortiz says, good morning. NorCal says, worldwide Dolphin Clubs checking in. Fins for life. We love you all out there for tuning in. Flipper13 legend. I used to be a subscriber to Dolphin Digest. First class mail. Yep, no doubt, man. Dolphin Digest. Again, you got to be a little older Dolphin fan, but back in the day, Dolphin Digest was the Bible, bro. The Bible. As media members, okay, we used to get a free one every week, and I couldn't wait till Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was, that I would get my free one at the no, it was Wednesday because they were off Tuesdays. So Wednesday you would show up and you would get your free edition of Dolphin Digest back in the day and read it from cover to cover because they had excellent writers and they just got great stories and great personal stories and things like that. They did a great job at Dolphins Digest, man. Love that, Dolphins Digest. Big O, thank you for chiming in. Thank you for supporting us. Well, I don't know about supporting you guys, but I appreciate you. Big O, you getting some nice heavy hitters. I don't know, we're getting some good people is what we're getting. Let's get Shula's initials permanently added to the team's uniforms like the Bears do. We talked about that yesterday, a Shula patch. We will talk to Tom Garfinkel about that at 2:15. Amen 241 says, good morning. The day after the shocking event of yesterday, could one argue the Heat, Marlins, Panthers exist because of Shula's coaching the Dolphins so well? Well, he created a sports town down here with us. My dad talked to me about open house parties with a band called The Antiques. Don't know anything about that, DJ Melau. Radically centrist says the Bengals cut Andy Dalton. Joe Burrow gets no time to develop. It looks like Tua is lucky to be picked by the Dolphins. Oh, yeah. Yep. We talked about that a couple days ago, how the Bungles will be the Bungles and the Dolphins will continue to move forward because they do smart things.
They look like they were doing the right thing for about a half a minute.
Yep.
Right?
Then they became the cheap-ass Bungles, and they did it. RC in the 305, neither you nor I know that these two guys are doing it right. So far, Greer is at best a JAG GM, and Flores is far from being a great head coach. Didn't say either one was great. I'm just going out on a limb saying they're doing things the right way, and I think we're headed for bigger and better things. RC in the 305, if for years, if I'm willing, the day they hired Joe Philbin, I said he would be a failure. So if I'm willing to go out on a limb and tell you that Joe Philbin will be a failure and it's a terrible hire, then why can't I go out on a limb and say Chris Greer and Brian Flores are going to do well? You see what I'm saying? And I know, I get it. I get criticized no matter what. If I'm positive, I get criticized. If I'm negative, I get absolutely lambasted. I can't win. If I'm positive, I must be a homer. If I'm negative, I must be a hater. There's no way I could be objective, but I must be the other ones. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, you got to deal with my predictions. Good or bad. And, by the way, when it comes to the Dolphins, man, I'm riding in the 90 percentile somewhere in 30 years. I mean, just anybody that's followed me for about 30 years now, and I give you Dolphin predictions, not wins or losses on a season. That's ridiculous. I'm talking about good draft picks, bad draft picks, that I say it ahead of time. Good hires, bad hires, good trades, bad trades, good free agent signings, bad free agent signings. I'm in the 90 percentile. In other words, I'm rarely wrong about the Dolphins. And I know that for a lot of Dolphin fans over the last 20 years, it was tough because I was rarely wrong about how wrong they were, or how bad of a decision was, or how much they were going to lose. And it would frustrate some Dolphin fans. So I get it. Now that I'm really positive and I really like what they're doing, I'm out of line. Call of Duty 1, Clyde Drexler was mostly compared to George, the Iceman Gerving. Even Clyde knew he wasn't on Jordan's level. He should not know. Eric V says, Saxon rocks. Nice. Thank you, sir. Got to have a little Saxon today. I was in the Saxon mood. Big O, what do you think of Jamal Wiltz? Guy battling for a backup spot. Nothing yet. I don't think of him ahead of Nick Needham, so he's got to get ahead of him first. We struck gold with Albert Wilson. Well, now you're paying him less gold. That's good. Again, another smart move by Chris Greer. Sat down. Hey, Albert, we really like you. You're injury prone. We're not the guys that signed you in free agency. That was, Mike Tannenbaum. And so, we need you to take a pay cut. We can't have you make $8 million. You gotta cut it down. So now the kid's going to make $3 million, and so now he'll make the roster. As long as he's healthy, he'll make the roster because now they made it a manageable salary, whereas they were going to cut his ass at $8 million.
Sorry to put the brakes on,
I know.
but we need to get Hall of Famer Larry Little.
That's right. We're going to do it right now. Let's take a quick break. Mudias Dental, proud sponsor of our program, folks. Call them for Invisaligns, implants, 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Mudias Dental. Go to the website. They will take care of you if you're in an emergency right now and you're in pain. Let's get you out of pain. MudiasDental.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
We are back. All right, we're ready. We're going to talk with the great Larry Little. Last time I saw Larry was a couple months back over at Hialeah Park for his event, which we had a great time. Larry, that was really nice. The event over at Hialeah Park. We had the place to ourselves, which was a beautiful
Thank
thing.
you.
How you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing fine. Yeah.
So Larry, how did you handle it yesterday? Because it's one of those moments you can never be ready for.
That's true. Seeing him in January, celebrating his birthday with him 2 or 3 times that month, and him being the great spirit that he was in. And now a few months later, he's no longer with us. So it was short, although I knew, he was 90 years old, but still, there's some people you think might be around forever. And he was one of them, but, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I would imagine that when you're with somebody just a couple months ago and then now where you're at this point, it's a night and day thing that's got to get you, kind of put you beside yourself. You're like, well, wait a minute, couldn't it be been around a little bit more? I was talking about this myself, Larry, that I really love what Chris Greer and Brian Flores are doing, that I actually think they're going to start bringing back the Dolphins to respectability. And I wish Shula would have hung on to see it come back. Everything that he built, we kind of tore it down. I think these men are actually going to bring it back, and I was hoping he could hang on a little bit more to see this.
You're absolutely right. I think they are going to bring it back because, I've spoken to both of them, and I like the direction they're going in. Brian did not go for the okie doke last year about tank for tour. The man tried to win, and he proved that he can win. And hopefully, if it's not this year, by next year we'll be up there with the better teams in the league.
I'm with you there. The great Larry Little joining us here, of course, the Hall of Famer. Larry, when you think of Shula, what was when you heard he passed away? What was your first memory that crossed your mind?
Well, when Matt Moore called me, and I was just getting in my truck, and when he told me, "Yeah, man, Coach died this morning," I just sat there for like 10 minutes, reflecting back to the time that we had together. Playing for him for 11 years and becoming more of a friend later on in life, just a player that played for him. And, one thing about it lately, a lot of times when he see you, the guy on our undisputed team, he just would give you the finger. And last time I saw him, I gave him the finger, and he laughed, and we both laughed at it. And, when you think about the good thing, you try not to think about the bad. You want to think about the good and the great time that we had together. And we did have some great times together.
Yeah, I actually opened up the show talking about that for us fans. We got, he gave us, and along with obviously all the players, gave us a lot of great memories, during those decades of running, the football team. But for you personally, because you had your highs and lows. I mean, you had butted with Shula, a lot. And so for you, what was that watershed moment that kind of smoothed everything out between both of you?
You're breaking up for me a little bit. I didn't quite get everything.
I'm sorry, Larry, that, you had your highs and lows with Shula. You butted heads with Shula at times. Do you remember?
We did.
Yeah. Do you remember when was that point that you guys reached that pinnacle where you kind of got over all the bumpy roads and everything went smooth? Do you remember that moment?
Well, after I retired, we, in fact, I had a lot of options to who to me when I went into the Hall of Fame. I had even told Monty Clark, who was the offensive line coach, that I would get him to introduce me. And then I thought about it. I mean, Monty was a great offensive line coach. So what better person can I get to introduce me at the Hall of Fame? Mercury wanted to introduce me also. But I chose Shoes because I felt that he knew me better or as well as anybody else and knew my history. We did have our ups and downs on it because being one of the captains, I would go to the office sometime and we would disagree on things and, I'll walk out pissed off. But, I put all of that behind me. And then there were times when he thought I should have been out there practicing, but I was actually injured. And that really upset me, and that we would get into it about something like that. But you know what? How can you not have respect for a man like that and put all that kind of stuff behind you and move on with your life?
I know that he pushed people to sometimes achieve things that they thought they weren't able to achieve. Give me a moment where he pushed you to a point that you now look back and you go, if he didn't push me, I wouldn't have been able to achieve this. And what is it?
Well, when he first came to Miami, I went to his press conference. Because, as you know, I don't know if you know or not, I was here a year before he came. I was in 69 under George Wilson. So I went to his press conference, and after the press conference was over, I went and told him, I said, Coach, my name is Larry Little. I'm your right guard. And he looked at me and said, how much do you weigh? I said, well, I'm 285. And he just walked off from me. See, I'm flabbergasted by this man when he was talking to me after that. And then when I got the letter on when to report to camp, he had my weight just down to be reported at 265. And I think that's what really propelled my career. I got smaller, I got faster, but I maintained my strength and made me the football player that I became.
So what's the story that makes you laugh the most about Don Shula?
Well, I wasn't a part of it. The time when Sanka or Manny, or both of them, put the alligator in the shower.
Right.
And he walked into his shower, and the alligator was in there. He ran out the shower to the hallway butt naked. But the funny part about that, Bobby used the same shower. And he was going in there before Don was. And he saw the alligator, but he did not tell Don the alligator was in there.
How long did Arnsberger hang on to that? Like he didn't tell Don even after Don found the alligator. He's like, I got to make sure I didn't tell the coach that I knew about the alligator either, right?
I don't know if he told him or not, but I know he did not tell him the alligator was in the shower. And the shoes ran out in the hallway butt naked.
By the way, Larry, you did a good thing not picking Mercury Morris, because if you pick him to, do the induction speech, he'd still be talking to this day. So,
you better believe it.
You know what I'm saying? Like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. There isn't enough time to get a Mercury Morris in there. So that was actually a nice job by you. That was nice scouting on your part. Going, no. I'm going to kill the people here by putting Mercury out there.
His introduction would have been longer than my speech.
Yes, yes, no doubt about it. When you think of Don, and you think of what he built, I mean, are there comparisons? I mean, we see what Belichick's now done with the Patriots and certain other teams in the past. Riley now with the Miami Heat. Now in hindsight, you look at how difficult it's been for the Dolphins the last 20 years to live up to anything that Shula built. How much more special do you feel being a part of that now?
Well, when you think of Shula, he's a man of integrity, honesty, and all class. We all have our faults, but he was all class all the time, and and honesty was one of the. I'll never forget. We were getting ready to play the Oakland Raiders, and in Oakland, and someone left the game plan in the locker room, and Zonka found it, and Zonka attempted to give it to Shoes, and he told him to throw it away. We don't deal that way. We go out there on our own. We don't want to cheat. He never wanted to cheat, and he wanted to do things the right way.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt Belichick would have done the same thing, right?
I have to laugh at that one.
I'm laughing with you, baby. I'm laughing with you. The great Larry Little joining us here on the program, talking a little Don Shula. All right, so Larry, when we talk about achieving greatness and achieving perfection, okay, and you guys are on a roll, and then you get the Zonka kick Warfield going out to the World Football League. How did Shoes take that? How did the team take that? Walk us through that experience, because obviously it was a devastating moment for all of you and for the fan base, of course, because, you know, that Dolphin team was special and things could have kept rolling.
Well, it hurt, but Zonka called me. I think he called all the offensive linemen and let me know what was going on, and he was leaving to go to the World League. And the first thing came out of my mouth was, take me with you for that kind of money. But that did help me get Joe Robbie to renegotiate my contract.
Okay.
Pick me from making like $35,000 to $40,000 to over $100,000 a year, being the first offensive lineman. To get $100,000, make $100,000 a year. But I truly, truly believe, had that not happened, if Zonka, Kick, and Paul had stayed with the Dolphins, we would have been mentioned, although we are, but not like we should be, mentioned in the same breath of the 49ers and the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And when do you guys bust their balls at all for leaving? We understand the business side and all that, but years later, do you guys bust their balls just out of curiosity?
I'm sorry, tell it again.
Do you bust their balls for leaving? Do you bust Zonka's balls and Warfield and all? Years later, now that in hindsight is 2020 and you know everything now, do you guys joke with them or bust their balls by, why did you guys leave, man? We would have had something going. And I would imagine there's some regrets on their end, too, because what they tried to do did not work out. And if they would have stayed, things would have been really historic.
That's true, but, you know, hindsight sometimes is 2020.
Right.
And Zonk did come back eventually. But Paul and Jim went their own separate ways. But Zonk came back, and but then they realized, he realized too, he did not have a success when he went and came back, before he came back to the Dolphins, that he had when he was with us. Because when Zonk came back with the New York Giants, I don't know if he gained 400 yards on the ground the year he was with the Giants.
Right.
And the year he came back with us, with the offensive line that we had, he gained over 800 yards that year. So he knew where his success would have been had he had stayed with us.
Larry, and before I let you go, and we're talking with the great Larry Little, of course. Larry, how did Shula, and I know the story about when you lost the Super Bowl, and Shula said, all right, we got to come back next year focused on trying to win every game. And then you went out and you had the perfect season. But I'm wondering, as the perfect season was going on, and you're halfway through that season, 3/4 of the way, how did Shula keep you guys motivated? Or did the winning itself, did it become so intoxicating that you guys did not want to fall off that horse and you wanted to keep it perfect? Walk us through that mindset from the coaching side and the player side.
Well, he never mentioned during the season, although we weren't losing any game, that we were going to go undefeated. Only thing we kept doing, now we had some close games that year.
Yeah.
I mean, but we found a way to win. I think the only time we may have felt the pressure was when the season ended. The regular season ended, I would say. And we were 14-0. We know Well, we knew we had to win the next 3 games to achieve perfection. And we felt it. 14, we lost 1 game, the whole season would have gone for naught. That's when we felt it, and to know that we had a chance to make history if we win 3 more games that year. And it did happen that way.
It's amazing stuff, man. The great Larry Little joining us, of course. Booker T, Bethune-Cookman, Hall of Fame, and obviously a lot of great memories with the Miami Dolphins. Larry, our condolences for your loss. Obviously, all of our losses, too, because Coach Shula was so special to us. But obviously, we know the connection that you had with the coach. We thank you for taking some time during this difficult moment to share your memories and talk a little Shula, man. You're absolutely awesome, and you're a class act. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just finished watching The View, a long thing.
I love it. I love it. Larry, you be good, my brother. All right, thank you.
All right, take care.
You got it. Bless you. There we go.
Bye.
Larry Little, man, the great Larry Little joining us here on the program to talk a little Shula and a little Dolphins. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. It's nice to have Larry Little on.
That little extra caveat that Arnsparger had seen the alligator before.
Yeah, and he doesn't tell him anything about it. I mean, that story.
This surprise was not intended for me. Let's leave it for Coach Shula.
Yeah, that's one of those stories that just carries on and on and on as the years go on. A bunch of you are chiming in on the chat board. Everybody loving it. Awesome sauce. Let's see what we got. Good morning, peeps, from Bromar Smelly. He's chiming in. Man of 1,005 holds. Great stories. Drubo saying Larry Stud. King Short loves the interview. Appreciate all of you out there for supporting us as you do here on the program. Thank you for chiming in on the YouTube chat board there, as always. And that was good to have Larry Little talk a little bit about the Dolphins and his experiences with Coach Shula and how he came down to Shula too, being the guy to obviously announce him for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which he made, I believe it's back in, I want to say it's like 93 or something like that.
I think that's what I saw, 93.
Yeah, I think it was 93. I have to look it up now. I don't have, I didn't make that note, but I got to go off the top of my head. It's been a while since he was there, but obviously well-deserved honor for the great Larry Little. At 12:30, Bob Baumhauer is going to join us. All right, so we'll have a little fun. I was wanting to get a certain somebody on at noon.
Your memory serves you well. 93.
It is? Okay. All right, there you go. Oh, man. I don't know if I should. I'm trying to follow up and see if I can get somebody here at noon that I wanted to get. But unfortunately, he has not answered. I don't know if he's busy now, doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but the good thing about doing stuff nowadays. There's a good chance you can get somebody doing nothing because they're kind of at home more often than not. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us are kind of trapped at home. Although they're starting to open up in some parts of the country, so some people are starting to get some portions of their lives back to normal again, and hopefully some of you out there will start getting it back to normal. I just hope that we wait enough time so it doesn't spread again. But anyway, it is what it is. So we thank Larry Little for joining us. The bit of news also, Albert Wilson ends up taking a pay cut. He was set to make $9.475 million. Cap hit was $10.8 million. And with the injury history, I don't think that they were going to keep him around. I told you guys that I thought they would cut him right before, when they get to 55. If everybody's healthy, the rest of the guys are healthy, I don't think they would have taken a chance and kept him on the roster because of the injury history. So they reworked his deal now. He's going to make $3 million this year. He can make another $1 million on incentives. That's a really, really cool thing for the Dolphins. And again, another smart move by Chris Greer. That's how you handle the cap. That's how you manage things so they don't get out of control and you're not throwing money away, okay? So nice move by them. And now you can keep a guy that hopefully is healthier now and can give you more productivity and stay on the field than he did last year because, as we all know, it took him 3/4 of the season to get on the field. In the last quarter of the season, he did show a little something, but, you just don't know where he really is or how healthy he is. So good move by the Dolphins in restructuring that contract.
Can we read into this, that he wants to stay with the Dolphins? He could see us on the uptick and be a part of a winner and stuff. Can we read? No.
No, because I'll tell you why. Because this is the final year of the deal, and he knew that there was a risk that when the Dolphins release you, it's at the end of training camp, it's at the end of the preseason, there'll be no money.
Everybody's got their rosters locked.
You won't make $3 million. His agent's saying you're going to make
get what you can.
Veteran minimum. So unless they're going to release you now, and money has already pretty much up too in free agency, look at Cam Newton. He's sitting there. He wants a starting job and starting money.
He's the odd man out.
Because nobody's going to give him a starting job and money. I read that story 2 days ago. He wants a starting job. He will not take a backup job. So at this point, nobody knows if you're healthy, and now you want a starting job. Nobody's going to do that for Cam.
Sound like Cam getting involved in fashion and stuff, right?
Right. Look at Jadeveon Clowney. Because of the knee, nobody's reached his price. So his price has gone down, and it's probably continuing to go down now at this point because the money starts to dry up. So he would run into the same issues. And that's why he said, you know what, let me take the $3 million now. It allows me to put a year on tape, show people I'm healthy, and that way I go, and he's in a situation that he kind of already knows the people, not the system because they changed it. But he can adjust. He's a veteran, so it's not a big deal.
So this is more self-preservation.
Smart on his part. Because when he gets released, it would have been absolute terror for him. He would have been really depressed. Hopefully is the key that he's healthy. That's what Jose Cabrera says. Yep, Jose. Let's hope so, right? I mean, that's all we can do. Big O, you bringing Trace Armstrong on today? No, I am not bringing on Trace Armstrong. I could call him. I could try to get him on. Now I thought about it. I should try to get Trace on. Now, I mean, today, my brother, today I think I'm doing all right. Right? I mean, we've got Larry Little, Bob Baumhauer, Andy Cohen, Troy Stratford, and Tom Garfinkel. I don't know. I don't think any show in town is going to give you a better guest list than that one. So that to me, you'll be happy with all of our guests today. I think. I mean, it's hard to make everybody happy. Vicken says 1972 best organization ever. George says great lineup today. Thank you. Flipside Fishing. It's funny, a man that's big got the last name Little. Yeah. You're right about that. But haven't you seen like the dude that's called Tiny, and he's like 6'8", 402 pounds? And you're like, they call him Tiny, it's that kind of stuff. So yeah, sometimes that's part of the game. All right, 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, that's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can also reach out to me on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. We got a bunch of things to talk about in the next half hour before we get to Bob Baumhauer at 12:30. So we'll talk to the 5-time Pro Bowler from Palm Beach Gardens High School. He is in Mobile because he is a big-time restaurateur there in the state of Alabama. And so he's got several restaurants. So we'll talk to Bob. He was a Dolphin from 77 till about 86. So Bob had a long tenure with the Miami Dolphins, was a great player for the Dolphins. We'll talk to him at 12:30. Toyota of Hollywood is a proud sponsor of our program, the #1 volume sales dealership 6 years in a row in the Southeast, man. They've got over 400,000 square feet, state-of-the-art facility, over 1,500 cars and trucks. Go see Gary Thompson. Go see Rick. Go see Herbie Lopez. Make sure you tell them that Big O sent you. So if you're going there to buy or lease a vehicle, tell them that I sent you, and they will take care of you at Toyota of Hollywood.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we back. Joseph Rodriguez says, yo, what's up, Big O? Listening live out here in Bakersfield, California. Keep up the great work, fellas. Thank you. Appreciate you, Joseph, listening out there. Ray is saying, great lineup today. Thank you, Big O. Appreciate all of you. George out there, Thibault says, Curtis Painter checking in. I missed you, brother. Stay safe and prosper. Hail Purdue. Nice to see you again, George. He and I went back and forth. It's a Curtis Painter inside joke between me and him. Let's see. Hey, great job. And by the way, George, welcome aboard, because I think this is your first time. We've been doing this for months. So I'm glad that you're on board with us. Hopefully you've subscribed to the channel, and hopefully you subscribe to our podcast, because all of this gets podcasted every day on audio, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. All you have to do is just like this, Big O Radio Show, and you will find it. So thank you all out there. George, nice to have you back, my brother. Hey, great job getting the lineup together on short notice. I know it's all about Coach Shula today, as it should be, but try and squeeze in a question to Garfinkel about bringing back the old logo. Dude, that's already in the books. Of course, trust me, I'm asking.
That's right at the top of the list.
I'm going to ask how we're going to celebrate Shula. Will it be a two-part celebration, because COVID may not allow you to give him a proper celebration this year? So do you do a part two in the off season next year? Do we have a day that's dedicated to Shula? Do we do it another day during the season in 2021? Okay. And then I'm going to ask him, hey, man, you're going to build a practice facility. Why not name it the Don Shula Practice Facility? And then I'm also going to ask him about the logo. You good with that? You guys good with that? You good with that?
I think you got all the angles covered, man. Pretty much. You may even think of one between now and 2:15.
He didn't. I think I just came up with it on the Shula stuff. On the will it be just one celebration? Could it be multiple because of COVID? Now, a lot of people aren't going to think about those things. I brought it up yesterday. A lot of people aren't going to think. They'll think about it after when they hear our show. Then they'll bring it up on their show. That kind of stuff. Because it is funny that I drive around now sometimes and I go to the local shows and then I kind of hear the things that we were talking about. So I'm just, wondering how's it getting around, that kind of stuff. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all fun. So, yes, Garfinkel will join us at 2:15. Got a lot of things to talk about with him. His plan, that it's not official or anything, but he's so ahead. Tom Garfinkel's so good. That's going to be cool to talk to him about the COVID plans, all of that stuff. Please, Big O, ask about the uniforms, the new uniforms. I'm going to ask about the logos. Relax. I got you. George says, I lost you. Glad to be back. Well, thank you. I appreciate you finding us. I appreciate you searching. I appreciate, why George finds us, and a lot of you out there that are new and you're adding on every day. And it's because you're sharing the links. You grab that share and you grab this link to this feed and send it to a friend of yours on text that's a Dolphin fan. Or Heat, Canes, Marlins, Inter, whatever it is. Okay? We're going to talk about all of that here on this show a lot of times. All right. What do you think of Dan Lebitard's column about Coach Shula? And would you ever consider buying your own AM radio station, make it your own? First of all, I don't have money to buy an AM radio station, and I would never do that nowadays. That's a business that's going down the drain. Now, obviously, I wouldn't run it like a corporation. I'd run it like a personal, but I don't think we need that anymore. I mean, look what's gone on with this. This is only 8 months, man. We're pacing now for 2 million downloads. We've got our website at BigORadioshow.com, and we're going to add a listen live button to that. Our YouTube page has 1.6 million minutes viewed in the last 28 days. It's only gone up. It was at 1 million, then it went 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. It's gone up. The pace is up. And we're adding subscribers every single day. And once we add the listen live button to the website, then people on their phones or on their smart TVs or whatever can sign on and just hit listen live, and they're good, and they can clean the house, walk around, mow the lawn, listen to us in their smart cars, whatever. We're good. We're good. We don't need a radio station. You know what I mean? There's no need for that. Why do you guys want to torture yourselves in listening to local radio that half the hour of the hour are commercials and promos and updates? Listen to QAM and 790. Their segments are 8 or 9, 10 minutes long. I just did a half hour, and now I'm going to do another half hour of talk without a break, and we break at the top for a couple minutes. You don't get that anywhere. We've got our ads running, all that stuff. We have our sponsors. We have everything that we're trying to implement. Well, now obviously our sponsorship isn't as strong because of COVID-19. So we're hurting in that area, but that's everybody, and that's fine. But meanwhile, our listenership is exploding every single day. So really, there's no need for a radio station anymore. People don't need to go to a radio station anymore to get their stuff. And you're an on-demand society now. You go home, and it's Hulu, Prime, Amazon Prime, Netflix, Quibi, whatever it is, all that stuff. Your music is on iTunes and Pandora and whatever else that you use on demand for your music. Stitcher, you name it, whatever. Right? What's the one? Tidal is the other one. It's all on demand. You rarely watch live stuff. Maybe sports and news. That's it. You're not sitting there waiting for Grey's Anatomy to come on and watch it. You don't do that anymore. You watch Grey's Anatomy after it's recorded. That's why what we're doing, it's exploding. And why? Because this is the way things are being done nowadays. Live and on demand. Now, we do something different than other people. A lot of people will record this show behind the scenes, right? And then they would clean everything up and then put it out there. We don't do that. We do a live radio show every day, and then we podcast it. So we'll make our mistakes and everything on the air, whatever, like a regular show, so you can see that we're just, normal human beings having some fun and doing our show, and that's it, man. So we do something a little different. Clee Torres says, the best South Florida sports radio. Rock solid. I love it. So, yes, we will ask about everything except the radio station. You know how much money also you got to flush down the toilet to buy a radio station and the permits and everything else? Oh, my God. Nah, it's all right. We'll be good, man. We'll be good here. We'll be good. You guys keep supporting us the way you do, and we're going to be able to give you the See, I work for a radio company. They don't even pay my way to go to the Combine or the Senior Bowl and give you guys all that coverage. Now we're going to do it. We're going to cover the Heat like it's never been covered before, summer leagues and things like that. I want to go out for that stuff. Seriously. Because those are the two sports we can do that. When the other sports get to that point, then maybe we'll do it for the other ones. But for sure for basketball and for football. Definitely. And maybe once the Marlins get to a point, if they are, really going to be competitive, we can go out for the week of Hot Stove League and be where the owners are at and do our show for the week there. I want to do all those kind of things. Like a real sports show. That's what I want to do. Like a real hardcore sports show. Bill and I already had it set up. We were going to be at Marlins games. We're going to broadcast pregame during Marlins. On the concourse, we're going to be inside the stadium. We're going to be outside for different games. We're going to do all of that thing because I'm a sports fan, dude. And so I want to make the kind of sports show that I want to listen to. That you're actually going to talk about the sports, and we're not going to clown around all the time. I mean, we'll joke around. We'll have some fun. I got no problem with that. But the whole show's not going to be goofing off, dude. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing stupid interviews. I'm not doing any of that kind of stuff. Bring on an intern for something ridiculous or something. No, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. I'll let other shows do that kind of stuff. But we're going to do the kind of show that, South Florida sports fans want. That's all. And that's what you're going to be supporting. And they're not going to want to do things like that. I mean, 30 years ago when I started in this business, do you know the fights I had with program directors about fantasy football 20, 25 years ago? Trying to talk to them about, hey, this is going to be enormous. It was brutal. I need to go cover the draft. This is important. I mean, everything was, you run into a wall. And so now with this, I don't answer to anybody. At all. We do what we want here, and I'm trying to do what you guys want. So that's what it is. What you can do is help me by telling me the things you want to cover, all those kind of things that you want to see on your kind of sports show for the Marlins or the Dolphins or the Panthers or the Inter Miami or you name it. All that. That's what I want from you guys. And then we'll get together and we'll cover it all, man. And we'll talk about it. Super Boom Shack says terrestrial radio is dead. Of course it is, bro. So it is so dying, it's not even funny. Let's see. Shame Yoakum says great move by Greer. I agree. Let's see. Big O, would you ask Tom Garfinkel if he is a Buffalo or Wolverine? Huh. What does that mean? If he's a Buffalo or Wolverine. You got me here. Is that some kind of Avengers question or something? Or I don't know what the hell that is. What does that mean? You lost me, bro. I'm sorry. I'm lost on that one. Let's see. What else do we have? I brought Sirius. I bought Sirius in 2010 and have not heard a terrestrial radio since. It is horrible. I don't blame you, my brother. I really don't blame you. Albert must be buying into the new Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I guess you just tuned in right after our segment. Kind of explained why. Let's see what else. We're going to have football. Yes, eventually. Let's go. Special needs. A fitness guru says, I'm happy for you. Thank you. I'm happy myself, actually. I'm happy as hell that I'm doing this now. This is kind of the happiest I've been in a long time with this because we've had the freedoms. And we were actually doing all right, believe it or not, before COVID. Things are going well. Now, during this time, it has actually, in a twisted way, it's been a blessing because it's kept so many of you at home. It's forced you guys to go on the net and surf. And every day we run into people that are finding us. And so that's pretty cool because if they were working and they were in their regular lives, they probably would have never taken the time. Now they have found us. So they're subscribing to the audio side. They're subscribing to the video side. And now they're downloading or watching the show every day. And that's become really, really cool how we've been able to build our audience during this COVID crisis, which is really twisted. You know what I mean? It's been a struggle financially, like everybody else, of course. But on the show side of it, it's been an incredible success. I can't tell you enough about it. It's been crazy. Now, I'll give you an example of how rough things are in this business and why sometimes being a part of a major corporation sucks. Did you guys see what Tony Reale had to do? He had to apologize to Mitch Trubisky. Okay? Now, I want you guys to listen to this, how stupid of a story this is about Reale. It says, ESPN show Tony Reale apologized on Twitter Monday to Mitchell Trubisky for taking a shot at the Bears quarterback at the end of Around the Horn. And listen to this. All right, Reale zinged Trubisky by saying at the end of the program that he didn't want to Trubisky it, which is a reference to the Chicago quarterback's accuracy issue. Reale then apologized to Trubisky. He says, I would like to apologize for a line I just had at the end of Around the Horn about inaccurate passes. I don't want to Trubisky it was the line. It was small of me. One of those, what a moron I am 2 seconds after you say it moments. And then he puts, I recall you support the thumbs up mission from cleats you wore from a game recently. Please know that I will be paying my error and embarrassment forward in the form of a donation to them. Best to you and yours again. I am truly sorry, Tony Reale. Is that the world we're in? You gotta, I don't want to Trubisky it. That you gotta apologize for that. I mean, I don't get that. Why would you have to apologize for that? The guy's doing his job. He's having some fun. He's entertaining. Yeah, it's taking a shot. So what? Trubisky, you suck, dude. You're not accurate. Live with it. People are going to joke about it. It happens. Grow up. But is ESPN making him apologize for this? Because what, you're worried that you're going to hurt Mitch? And I know Mitchell Trubisky has, he's really touchy. He doesn't want the TVs on in the locker room criticizing him. All of those things. I get it. But why should you have – this is why this business has gone to absolute shit. You can't joke about a player because you're worried about hurting his feelings. That you Trubisky it. These are the things that I got to get away from. I can't take it, bro. I can't take it. I won't. At all. Mike Roach. Mr. Roach is in the house. Mr. Roach, thank you, sir. Giving us a little super chat. Super chat love. Super chat. La da 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 da. Anybody pick up on that? You sound less stressed doing this than radio. Well, I don't have, some program director that, hey, could you come to my office after the show so we can talk? It's noon. You came on at 10 in the morning. At noon, the program director opens the door. Hey, could you meet me over at the office after the show? Sure. And then you go over, and then he has to ask you, hey, do you have to do this? Do you have to say this? Do you have to talk about this? Am I breaking any laws? No, but, we'd like to, maintain a good relationship with that person, with this team. We are partners with them. Yeah. So you think about it. At 12, they tell you they want to meet you at the office. And then for 2 hours, you're doing your talk show thinking about the meeting. Do you think that's a good boss? That you bother your host in the middle of the show, that he knows or she knows, if they're smart, you're going to reprimand them for something, because it's the only time you ever come in the office, in your studio. You never come into the studio and say, hey, that was a great show, man. I love that interview. I took a break from my office and said, I want to walk over here to thank you for that interview. That was a kick-ass interview. That was great insight. Hey, you broke that story. That was fantastic. Hey, you've got 15 sponsors. I've got other shows that have 2 and 3 hosts, and they've got 3 sponsors. Great job by you. They don't come in and tell you that. No. They come in and tell you, why are you calling Whiteside an idiot? Well, because he left a semi-automatic gun unlocked in his car. Yeah, but does he have to be an idiot? Yes, that's what idiots do. So I'm calling him an idiot. Yeah. So that's the crap I had to deal with. I've told you guys this. I told my producer, if you ever see Alejandro Solana on any appearance, pull him aside, okay? If he's out with Hawk and Crowder in an appearance, pull him aside and say, is it true that Orlando told you 11 months before he got fired that he was going to get fired? Try that one, okay? Try knowing you're going to get fired and you still got to go to work every day. You tell me how that works on stress. So, yeah, you are so right. Super comfortable. Man of 1,005 holds. Yes, super chat. La da 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 da. Thank you, man of 1,005 holds. Great to learn about my Finns history. Thank you. Oh, appreciate you, man. Thank you for keeping it locked here. Let's see. What else do we have? Apologies. Man, are we really that soft now? Yeah, we're that soft. They made Riali apologize for Trubiskying it. I tell you, bro. Oh. Talk that S, Big O. Love it. Thank you, sir. Scott Jackson says, country full of pansies. Super Boom Shack says, political correctness is a bane of our society. Troy says, Trubisky sucks. My sympathies to Bears fans. Better you than us. Tua, baby. Myron says, what's up, Matthew? Go Gators. Let's see. Myron says, good luck, Bill. Your Bears are effed. Worst QB in the league. Mike Roch says, I think it's ESPN behind that apology, saying apologize or we fine you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the fine, but they'll hold it against you. So, yeah. And then if Riali wants to keep his job, You have to do it. Robert says, I've never seen you so happy, Big O. My brother, it's when you get to run your own show and all that, it's like, I do it, I do a little work for Sirius on the side, right? I don't do permanent things for Sirius anymore because I'm focused on building this thing now. But the Sirius people, they don't give me any BS, bro. I just get to do my job there and move on, and they're really cool. But see, you guys run into the same problem I run into radio. Yeah, you do. Guaranteed. I'm not special. There's nothing different than what I do than you guys do. It's just a different style of work. But let me run this by you because some of you go through the same stuff. You ever have a boss that's never done what you do? And then they're your boss? That's exactly what happens in radio. You have bosses that have never done what you do, and then they're trying to tell you what to do when they've never had any kind of success in our business. They can't be talk show hosts, so that's why they're bosses now. A lot of them are like that. Very few. Because usually when you're successful as a talk show host, you stay a talk show host. You don't go.
That kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Most program directors are failed talk show hosts. They can't be talk show hosts. They tried it for 6 months. They tried them for 6 weeks. They tried it for a couple of years, and they couldn't get a job. They couldn't stick anywhere. So it's all right. It's cool, man. But when you've done it for 30 years, it's all good, man. It's all good in the hood. Big O, I believe the heart attack you had was because of the stress QAM gave you. You could be right. I didn't get to the heart attack. Okay? Let's be accurate here. All right? We avoided the heart attack. We avoided the stroke. We avoided the real seriousness. We had the clogged arteries, but we did not have the heart attack itself. Okay? But we were close. We were close. We were very close. Like 97% clogged. So we were pretty damn close, my man. Why does the Fanatics Dolphins team not have anything new Dolphins authentic jerseys? I don't know, my man. I don't know if COVID has backed a lot of things up, or I don't know if you've ordered things and you've noticed that things are taking some time. We are on the brink of adding shirts and hats to our website, but because of orders and all that, we're not going to do it because I don't want people paying for a shirt and then they're waiting for weeks. And if I don't want to do that. When we get past this COVID stuff, and then we'll do what we have to do, and I know we're losing a little money here that Bill and I could use.
I was just gonna say everybody's feeling the pinch.
Right.
Unless you're rich.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody's feeling a little bit of a crunch here.
The world is hurting. There's no doubt. So we're not special, and I don't want people complaining and stuff like that. I want them, if they order their shirt, they get it, when they're supposed to get it. You know what I mean? And then that just adds another headache. And, it's all right. Big O, should the Bears GM get fired for the Trubisky pick over Watson and Mahomes? Terrible QB evaluation. The screwed up part is, dude, they've built a hell of a defense, and they've made terrible mistakes at quarterback. And yes, you got to fire him. Because, like Bill, he agreed with me. They should have gotten Jameis Winston. That's it. I would have tried at least Jameis Winston over those guys. You bring in Nick Foles to compete against Trubisky. 2 Jags.
Look at the difference of the money between Foles and Winston, man. That's ridiculous.
Yuri Nature chiming in. Super chat. La da 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 da. Gotta go. My girl is Big O in it. She's Big O in it, huh? They're usually happy when they're Big O in it. That's all I can say. When you give them the big O, then they like it. They like it. So, Yuri, thank you for chiming in on the super chat on the big Oh, show. We love you. I love it. So this is like a radio show. That's what Daggered Gucci says. We can try. Michael Madsen says, can we please change our logos and uniforms back? Big O, why not name the NFL Coach of the Year the Don Shula Coach of the Year Award? Yeah, I saw that by, was it Brinson, I think, is the one that put it out there. That would be cool. I got no problem with that. I got none. Myron says, QAM is dead. 790 is next. Jose Banos. Thank you, Jose Banos, chiming in on the Super Chat. La, da, 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 da. Thank you, Jose, chiming in on the Super Chat. Well, you guys are super chatting it up today. All right, it's 12:28. We do want to tell you about Pallet Rack City. Don't you guys love a great rack? Because I love a great rack. Great racks are just, they're hot, man. They're fantastic. And when you've got great racks, that means everything is organized. So that's why you want to call Pallet Rack City, because they're your one-stop shop for all of your warehouse needs. They sell used forklifts and dock equipment. They specialize in knockdowns and installations of your warehouse equipment. So call them, 305-887-9212. Please call Eddie Pereira, my buddy. He will take care of you. 305-887-9212 for Pallet Rack City. When we come back, we're going to talk to another Dolphins great, Bob Baumhauer. He joins us next.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 is the Big O Show.
We are back. All right, it is time to talk to Palm Beach Gardens' own Bob Baumhauer, the 5-time Pro Bowler, and of course one of the Killer Bees, and a friend of mine for a long time. Since I go to Mobile every year, he takes care of us as always. Hello, Bob. How you doing, my man? How you hanging in there this morning?
Hey, we're hanging in there. Big O, it's good to talk to you. Good to hear your voice. You sound great.
It's always good. Thanks to you, my brother, because that oil you turned me on to changed my life, man. That is, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
I hear you.
That thing made. I try to turn everybody onto that thing since that moment, and I have, and then people realize how amazing of a product that is. So you, sir, are a stud. Thank you, sir.
Well, you sound great. You sound super.
I appreciate it, man. Well, it's good, too, because I'm kind of, I only do work with Sirius, and I've got my own show going on now because you know how it is now, Bob. It's an on-demand world. People go home, and it's Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all that, and their music is on demand. So a lot of their talk is now becoming on demand, and so we got it growing now on our show. So it's pretty cool to like kind of control everything, and I don't have a boss.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're correct. Things are changing. Changing for a lot of us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, especially how's this COVID thing? Because I know you got a ton of restaurants, and so this has got to be affecting you in a big time way.
Yeah, it is. We're doing the best we can. My oldest, Spencer, is doing a great job. He's our VP of operations, and we're doing the curbside service, Big O. But we added another component to what we're doing. We're selling groceries, and so you can come to Baumhauer's and get curbside service for everything from fresh, skinless, boneless chicken to bread, milk, beer, you name it. And so that's helped us a good bit, but we're not where we need to be as far as sales, and hopefully we can stick around long enough to get to the other side. Alabama has not opened up their restaurants yet, and we're not sure when that's going to happen, but we're like everybody else. We're just trying to get to the other side.
I feel you, my brother. This is something that's crippling the world, and that is the absolute truth when it's all said and done. So, talk to me about yesterday morning when you got the news. Where were you? How did it hit you?
Well, it hit me hard, Big O. I lost my dad a couple weeks ago, and he was living with me, and he was my best bud. And, he was down there with me he was always down there. He loved the Dolphins. And last week I called Matt Moore and asked Matt if there was any way that he could help me arrange for me to come down and see Coach Shula. I kind of wanted to say thank you to him for all the opportunities he'd give me. And Matt had arranged that last week. And we were going to come down after the pandemic I was going to bring all the kids. I've got 4 kids, and I met my wife down there. I get in the restaurant business because of a relationship with Eddie Houck there at Wings and Things in Fort Lauderdale. I've just got all these great things going on in my life, large part because of the opportunity that Coach Shula gave me. So when I heard what I heard yesterday, it was just an even bigger shock because I had been planning to come down to see him and just catch up a little bit because I haven't done a good job of that. And so it hurts. And, it's just one of those things that, like you said, I remember exactly where I was. And it's like a barrage. I heard from different people here in my office at the same time. I was getting texts and phone calls, and it'll be one of those things you never forget.
Yeah, I definitely imagine. What was I asked Larry this a little while ago. We had Larry Little on, and I'm wondering what was the first memory that came to your mind? The second you got the bad news, what was the first Shula memory to your mind?
Really, it was related to when Mike was up here, and we got to spend a good bit of time off and on. As far as Coach Shula coming up to support Mike when he was coaching Alabama, and you know, I saw a different side of Coach. I saw the proud father up here. You know, down there, you know, you saw the guy that was the legendary head coach, and then you saw also, you know, you saw the sense of humor that he'd have from time to time, and all those type of things. But I saw up here a really proud dad who loved his kids a lot, and he came up to me one time, Bigo, and said, "Hey," and we did a cruise up here called Cruising with the Tide, and Mike always went with us on the cruise with about 400 fans. And Coach Shula pulled me aside one time, and he said, "Hey, I really appreciate you being supportive of Mike up here." And he was just a proud dad. And I'm been thinking about his family and how close they are, and all the things that go along with that, because I just lost my dad. And, you know, and obviously, like I said earlier, I was in shock because we were planning on coming down in a few weeks to see him.
I mean, that's got to be that's one of those where you kind of, I'm sure you're questioning yourself and going, why didn't I do this earlier? And now I don't get to see him. But I mean, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. You can't do that, Bob. You know how it is. Life is crazy, man. Life pulls us in 8,000 directions. And dude, anybody that knows you, Bob, you're running like 8 businesses there, man. I mean, come on. I don't even know how you stay sane with all the things you've got going on.
Yeah,
seriously,
it's tough sometimes. But I got to tell you, you know, I talked to AJ earlier, and we were talking about Coach, and he was such a positive influence on anybody that wanted to be better, anybody that wanted to be part of something that was special. Coach Shula gave you the opportunity and supported you in that opportunity. And so it's just tough. With the experiences that I've had through my life, whether it was, and you know, I got to meet Coach Shula, Bigo at the Senior Bowl. He coached the Senior Bowl my senior year in college, and actually AJ and myself together. And then I believe it was because of the Senior Bowl and getting to know Coach Shula and Coach Gary and the coaches there that AJ and I were their first 2 draft picks in 1977. So, you know, whether it was that experience where he gave us the opportunity from what he saw at the Senior Bowl, or whether it's the opportunity, you know, I'd never played nose guard before I went to Miami, and Coach Gary and Coach Shula and Arsbarger talked me into playing nose guard from the nose tackle from the right perspective, from a, you know, perspective that you want to be good at it, because I did not want to play that position. And I started every single game of my career with the Dolphins at the nose, which doesn't happen a lot of times. And Coach Shula, and they put me in that position. I don't think I would have had the career that I did if I did play defensive end or another position. So there's a lot of reasons for somebody like me to be appreciative of everything that Coach Shula gave me an opportunity to experience.
We're talking with the great Bob Baumhauer here on the program. And Bob, walk me through, how did Shula balance intimidation and motivation? Because it's 2 different things. You're trying to achieve the same thing, but sometimes they're 2 different roads. So how did he balance that?
Well, I got to tell you, I think I have a unique perspective, as does Dwight and Tony Nathan and Dom. You know, we came from Alabama playing for Coach Bryant, and when you talk about intimidation, the intimidation just came from the presence of being with someone that was so successful and just absolutely so gifted at being able to do the things that they did, and you just wanted to be a part of it. And I just wanted to be able to be somebody on that team that Coach Shula felt was a positive part of, and that was to win Super Bowls. So from a balancing point of view, because of him being the head coach and him being Don Shula, and at that time, my rookie year, he was the Dolphins were, as the 70s were concerned, for in my book, high school, winning Super Bowls and going undefeated. So to me, it was just the intimidation piece with him. I don't know that I was intimidated as much as I just really, really wanted to be able to meet nations because of, the guy was the best. And so, he was tough, no doubt. And you didn't be on that sideline if things didn't go well. But we knew he cared about us, Big O. We knew that he was driven to a place that most people never get to go to, and he accomplished that. And so I think it depends on the way you look at things. I look at all of that. He was tough, demanded a lot out. But I look at that as all a positive, and I just
tackle, or I can Jim Jensen goes from backup quarterback to absolute stud third down dude, moving the chains all over the place. The Woodstock thing in order to get to the Super Bowl with those two guys. This year, I saw Brian Flores pull a Shula-like move with Eric Rowe, who can't cover anybody, but yet they figured out a way that, hey, this guy can cover tight ends. And he might struggle a little bit as a corner, but damn, as a guy covering tight ends, he's pretty good. So he found a role for the kid. Right. And Shula was so good at finding roles for everybody else. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, maybe the best of all time was putting AJ at linebacker.
Yeah.
And that got us to the Super Bowl in 1982. I don't know if anybody's ever had a game better than A.J. Dewey in the AFC Championship against the Jets. And you got a guy that came into the league with me as a defensive lineman, and he's intercepting 3 balls, running one back for a touchdown, and the AFC Championship because Shula put him in linebacker. Right. I mean, he was the best. And again, that was just part of what made it so rewarding to play for a guy like that. I mean, A.J.'s great example of that. He put AJ in a position to be AJ Dewey, and you can't say enough about that. If you'd allow me, I'd like to tell you, I got to know Coach Flores a little bit at the Senior Bowl, Big O.
Yeah.
Really, really, really sharp guy, and I'm really excited about what he's doing. And you see the way they were playing at the end of the year, and you're talking about a shoe, what did you call it, a Shula-esque move?
Yes.
I think Coach Flores has got a plan, and he's working the plan. He's disciplined. A lot of reasons for Miami Dolphin fans to be excited right now with what he's doing. Just give you my 2 cents on what's going on there with Coach Flores and his coaching staff right now.
Let me tell you, Bob, I've been ripping this team for 20 years. It's the first time that I actually feel like, wow, real football people are in place. They're doing things that football people do, like, getting rid of bad salaries, building the team from inside out. Wow, what a shocker. I mean, wow, common sense. Let's go draft a bunch of offensive linemen and D linemen because we need to win the battle in the trenches. And they drafted Tua, so they take the chance. They got Rosen last year, so they're trying to get a quarterback every year. I mean, everything about what Chris Greer and Brian Flores are doing, Bob, it just makes football sense, dude. That's the thing that I love, because the last 20 years – they kept doing shit that didn't make sense. Yeah. Well, I got to meet him in Mobile, and just I'm a fan. I tell you, he's very, very, very
sharp guy and gets it. And I think Miami's in for a nice ride here as far as if he has anything to do with it. I mean, they need to let him do his job, and I think Miami's going to be in great shape.
I can ask you for a moment where Shula made you feel small, and I'm sure you can tell me about several of those kind of moments. Give me a moment where he made you laugh.
Oh, he made us laugh a lot of times, and I got to tell you, as far as making me feel small, I really never had that experience with Coach Shula. I mean, he'd get upset, but usually when he'd get upset, he was upset for good reason. And again, I had a perspective, whether it's from the way I was raised or, being in Alabama or whatever. But as far as making me laugh, Coach Shula was just, he never forgot where he came from, and he could relate to us. And whether it was, he was just very, very in tune with us. And I used to get a laugh because when we go play Buffalo in every year, he'd make comments about don't be eating too many of those buffalo wings. And that snack, Nat Moore would go, I think he was going to the Anchor Bar where they came from, but Nat would go out and get or arrange for all these buffalo wings to be brought to snack. And that was something that we did the night before game when Coach Shula was coaching. And that would have those wings brought in, and they're buffalo wings. They're hot, spicy, going to give you indigestion or whatever. Coach Shula would, well, I thought I told you no buffalo wings. And then he'd turn around and said, bring them over here. I want some. We'd all start eating buffalo wings the night before the game when we played Buffalo. There was just a lot of times like that when he could take a moment and make it fun and light, and he would do that. We were playing the New York Giants my rookie year, and Larry Zonka was playing for the Giants at the time. And it was at that same function at Snack the night prior to us playing the Giants, and it was in preseason. And Larry had snuck into the room with all of us, and he just randomly stood up to ask a question of Coach Shula. Coach Shula goes, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And he goes, "Get over here and give me a hug." And there's just a lot of those type moments where he made you feel like $1 million because he was genuinely glad to see you. And I know a lot of players have that same experience with him. He was tough, like you said, and he could be tough, but we knew he cared about us.
The great Bob Baumhauer joining us here on the program. By the way, you could follow him on Twitter at Bob Baumhauer. And Bob, how did Shula react when you guys were in the Bumblebee uniforms?
I think he took it all in pretty good. I tell you, we didn't really know how to react when we did it. We were kind of asking ourselves at the time, "What are we doing here?" And but he took it. I mean, like I said, he had a good sense of humor, and I think he was enjoying the moment as much as we did, because at the time the Dolphins were winning a lot of football games, and the Killer Bees were doing a good job for him. And I think he appreciated what we were getting done, and I never heard anything from him as far as that's concerned. He might have made some comments to some other guys, but I never heard anything.
How about Arnsberger? How did he respond to that?
Who, Arns? I think Arns was okay. I mean, I will tell you that like most great coaches, they did not want distractions. You come to practice and you're there to prepare to win the next game, or you come to training camp, you better be in shape and you better be ready to go. They didn't like distractions, but at the same time, I feel like Coach Shula and Coach Arnsberger, they knew their players. They knew the ones that were giving them 110%. And there was times where, we had fun. They'd allowed us to have some fun too. And like I can tell you, my rookie year, AJ and I we like to return kickoffs during practice, just because we had too much energy, and we would be on the scout team for kickoff return, and they'd let us get in the back there and run kickoffs back, even though they had to have a calendar to, to clock. But the coaches back then, they allowed us to have fun too. They had fun as well. It was an amazing experience. They were good people. Coach Shula had really good people around him, and we all cared about each other.
Well, the way you feel about Flores, and so do I, and Greer and what they're doing, that's the one thing I was talking about with the audience yesterday that I wish Shoes could have hung on a little bit more, just so he can see the turnaround, because sadly, they've kind of destroyed everything he built for 30 years in this place. And they're a shell of what they used to be, but I think these guys are going to bring it back, and I really would have loved to see Shula watch this come back again. Would have been nice.
No, he would have enjoyed it, and I don't know who's making the calls down there. I'm up here just doing my head fry cook thing, but I'll tell you what, Coach Flores, he's the real deal, and I think he's going to do a great job. Met a lot of his coaches; they were super. They came up to Dolphins, Big O, for dinner, and Spence and I went in there to my oldest went in there and spent a little time with them, and just really, really sharp people.
I love it. I love it. So when's Dolphins coming down to South Florida?
I'm coming down a couple weeks to look at a place. We might do a place, and I'd love to do a Dolphins. Actually, I think it was Nat that came up to look at Dolphins. We were thinking about doing one down there, and for your listeners, Dolphins is a fine dining type restaurant, so it wouldn't compete with Bo or Brew or anybody like that. But we're coming down to look at a little place in Fort Lauderdale that would be kind of slightly different. But we might have a restaurant down there in the not-too-distant future, Big O.
Yeah, well, you know that I'll be here, and I'll be ready to support it, my friend, as I always do, and I always appreciate you taking some time to talk to us and talk a little Dolphins.
Well,
go ahead. What were you going to say?
Thank you. Just thank you for letting me, remember Coach Shula. I mean, there's not enough I can say to let folks know how much the opportunity to play for him and to work with him, and all of the different relationships, AJ and Doug Better, all the buddies that we have now, and all the relationships that we have. I mean, it just comes from him giving me an opportunity to come down there and play, and I just can't say enough about how much that means to me.
Well, it means a lot to all of us that are listening, that love the Dolphins, and the fact that you took the time during this difficult, time of losing Coach Shula to come on and talk about him. We definitely appreciate it, my friend. And I always appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship, and look forward to seeing you. Okay, give me a ring when you're down here, okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, Big O. You be good. Be safe. Be well.
You got it, baby. You be good. Thank you, Bob.
Bye-bye.
You got it. There you go. The great Bob Baumhauer, man. How about that? He is absolutely awesome, man. Good stuff by Bob. Appreciate him taking the time to join us. By the way, Super Chat. La da 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 da. Myron Sanchez, thank you, sir. He says, here a Super Chat for the awesome interview. Oh, I'm a Niners fan. I know you are a Niners fan, sir. Robert Ildago, thank you, sir. Thank you, Roberto, for the Super Chat also. Thank you to all for chiming in, as always, and supporting us, watching, listening, Super Chat. Send us, of course, on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105. You can send us a question, a text, a comment, a criticism, whatever it is you want to do. Tomorrow we'll be at VSS West Pines in Pembroke Pines, 12397 Pembroke Road. We'll be out there starting at noon. We'll be broadcasting. We normally do noon over there. Normally we start at 11 a.m., but tomorrow we will start an hour later at noon. So remember that, okay? So we'll catch you tomorrow at noon at VSS West Pines. Visit them, 12397 Pembroke Road, vsswestpines.com for all of your CBD needs, man. They've got them for you there. Call them and tell them that Big O sent you, 954-613-3367. They've got curbside pickup, so you can order by phone. Go to the website, vsswestpines.com. From a water bong to papers to CBD products to anything else and everything else in between. It's like a Spencer's meets Barefoot Mailman adds CBD. That's what it is. It's a really cool little place. So check it out. Again, 954-613-3367. Tell them that Big O sent you, vsswestpines.com. Andy Cohen is next. Andy Cohen, if you're a classic Dolphins fan, that means old like me, there was something, a publication called Dolphins Digest. You had to have it. You wanted it. Well, the man that was a writer and the editor for them, he now writes for Dolphins.com, but he covered Shula and produced that Dolphins Digest. We are talking to Andy Cohen next.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
We back. All right, we promised you we're going to continue honoring Coach Shula, obviously a man that made a major impact in all of our lives, all of us that are Dolphin fans and been following this team for a long, long time. A gentleman that's been covering the Dolphins for a long, long time, dating back to the Shula days with the Dolphin Digest. You can now catch him writing for Dolphins.com. He is Andy Cohen. I have known him for a long, long time. You could follow him on Twitter at @ACohenFins. Andy, how are you doing, my friend? Good afternoon.
Wonderful. I'm wonderful. It's been a long time, Orlando. I hope you're doing well, buddy.
I am doing great, as good as I can, considering everything going on, and doing this new thing that has actually gone really, really well. Since we've become an on-demand society, this is the way of the world nowadays, on demand. So it's actually been a blessing in disguise for me to do this. But
good for you.
So you tell me, Andy, what was the first thing that crossed your mind when you heard the news yesterday morning?
It was disbelief initially, because if anybody is impenetrable in my eyes, somebody that you just don't see succumbing to what's next, it's Don Shula. And I know how much he has slowed down. I saw him this year, and he really was, a shadow of what he once was. But he was still Don Shula, and he still commanded the respect and the love that he always had. So my first reaction was disbelief. And then as the reality hit me, sadness engulfed me. There were so many emotions. Certainly sad, because I was honored to call him a friend. He made me a better journalist. He held me accountable. He tested me as a journalist. And then in the later years, we became friends. And I value that, and something I'll never take for granted. So it went from disbelief to sadness to admiration and reminiscing about all the things that made him what he was.
And I would imagine that for you, talk to me a little bit about how he held you accountable, because, Andy, when I first started covering the Dolphins in the early 90s, which was the end, the last couple of years of Shula's run, I told the fans, I didn't ask a question for the first month. I just watched you and everybody else, Armando, whoever, asking questions. I just wanted to see how they approached the man and then how he handled everything. And in that month, I saw some, tension-filled moments with a couple of writers that may have pushed an envelope in a direction he didn't want to. So walk us through an example of how he made you better and how he tested you.
Yeah, you had to earn his respect. It just didn't come. And if he didn't respect you, you may as well forget it. He'll just lambaste you. He'll just jump all over you. But if he respected you, and what I did in my case is I was the beat guy for the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, and I used to bring him the newspaper every day because it wasn't easy to get to St. Thomas because it was in Miami. And I wanted to make sure that he, A, knew who I was, and B, read my stuff. So every day I would bring several copies of the Sun-Sentinel and give it to Ann, his secretary. And that was a way for him to at least understand what my work was about. But he tested me several times. He made me back up statements. He made me explain myself. And I think he respected the fact that I didn't back down, that I looked him in the eye, that I told him how I felt, that I showed him respect. But at the same time, I didn't try to be anything that I wasn't. And I think over time, I remember one day it was after a third practice of the day. And as you know, he had some 3 practice days. We're walking off the field, and he put his arm on my shoulder, and he said to me, "Good job, Andy. I wasn't sure what he was talking about, Orlando, but I almost felt that moment was a rite of passage for me. And as time evolved, I mean, I covered until his retirement from 1980 on, so we experienced a lot of things together, and we developed a friendship. We played tennis together. I wrote that in my column. He wouldn't let me lob because you play by Shula's rules or no rules at all. I got to know his family. It's something that I hold with great value, and I will always cherish in my mind.
Did you ever feel guilty when you beat Shula in tennis?
I didn't beat. He wouldn't let me beat him. He wouldn't let me lob. My game was lobbing, and he would come into net all the time. And even 25 years ago, he could move okay, but he couldn't get to my lobs. And at one point, he just turned to me and says, "That's it. No more lobs." And I said, "Oh, okay." And that point, and after that, it was an equalizer. He found the equalizer. So what could I do?
Oh, the coach.
But we didn't
right?
play very much. I think we played 1 or 2 times.
He was the coach, even on the tennis court, finding the strength and weakness. I gotta love that.
I don't know if you remember his Miami Lakes media golf outing.
Yes,
right before training camp would begin every year. But he would always fix his game. He would always win.
Yeah.
I mean, Ray Floyd would somehow show up and be on his team. He just didn't like to lose whatever he was doing. Oh,
that is fantastic. So, walk us through covering Shula in those days. Okay, when you've got to cover him after a loss and after a win, walk us through the difference there for you and how you had to handle it.
He was remarkably consistent. Yes, I have never seen him more upset than he was after the snowplow game in the early '80s when that convict on the sideline drove the tractor, cleared a swath of grass to let John Smith kick a field goal that beat the Dolphins 3-0. And I've never seen him angrier. You know why? Because there was nothing more important to him than the integrity of the game. There was nothing more important to him than the NFL shield. And he saw both of those attacked that day. And he was livid. I mean, he was hyperventilating livid so much that day. But then you go back to the scene in 1985 when they beat the Chicago Bears. And to this day, that one game to me was the best coaching job I've ever seen Don Shula do. That one game, because he figured out how to beat a team that supposedly couldn't be beaten. And after that game, the joy. Usually, he would try to disguise, hold back some of the joy, maybe let it out more with his assistants, but not to the media. But the unbridled joy he had that night after beating the Bears, the sense of accomplishment, the proud father look of what Dan Marino did that night, was something I'll never forget. So, yeah, there were definitely two sides of Don Shula, but there was also a lot of consistency game in and game out as well.
Yeah, I think that's what his players appreciated more than anything else, that he wasn't really going to overreact about one thing or another, but when he reacted on something, he was consistent about that. You were going to get the rise out of him, and you knew why you got a rise out of him. He wasn't trying to create any kind of drama or anything along those lines.
But the next day, it's like it never happened. The next day was a new day. So he could rip a writer to shreds in a press conference for asking a question, and the next day it was like it never happened.
Right.
And we all respected him for that because he never really held a grudge. He never kept things last. He never played favorites among the media, except when Edwin Pope came out. He loved Edwin Pope. But for the most part, he was very, very fair to the media.
You know, I'm gonna be the old man on the lawn here. Can you imagine Shula having to deal with today's millennials, either writers or players?
Social media?
Yeah.
Anything you want to know with social media?
Yeah, right. No, but writers or players.
What is this tweet?
Yeah.
It would. See, back then, as you know, Orlando, there were about 4 or 5 guys out there every day.
Right.
And that was it.
That was it.
And when you broke into that pack of the guys that were out there every day, you understood that it wasn't the large fraternity that it's evolved to now. It was basically a smallish group of people who were there every day. Joe Zagacki, I remember, was in that group early on in his career. But that was a different time. And today, he was always able to adjust Orlando. He adjusted with Marino. He adjusted with Zonka and Kick. Could he have adjusted to what the world brings today and the challenges today? It's tough. It's tough. It would have been an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, it would have been a challenge because it's just no. And as if you've dealt with millennials, I mean, you can't rip them and then put your hand on their shoulders an hour later. I mean, they're kind of still smarting from it. They might be smarting from it a year from now. Whereas we kind of grew up in an era where your uncle, your grandfather, your father, either gave you a whack or called you an idiot, and then, 5 minutes later they were hugging you, and it was just like, and you understood that you were an idiot 5 minutes ago, but they still love you, so it's not a big deal. You just got to get over it, and you got over it. In today's world, I don't know if these players and these riders could get over some of these things that happen from one moment to another. I think, think about this. I think about myself. I grew up in this business with guys like Hank Goldberg and Neil Rogers, dude. I mean, no, there's no way people growing up in this business now could deal with guys like Hank and Neil. I mean, Hank would rip me for one moment, but then the first guy that came to my defense to help me with anything was always Hank. Every single – I always tell people that because, sometimes me and Hank had some stuff on the air and we had some fun with it and we went back and forth and he would rip me or whatever, and that's fine. But then behind the scenes, he was the biggest mensch in the world, dude. It was just
100%.
And I would tell people that, and they were like, really? And I go, yeah, what you got on the air wasn't really the Hank you got behind the scenes. The Hank behind the scenes was a whole different dude that you don't get to know at all because he doesn't want you to know that guy. You know what I mean?
In fact, Orlando, segueing back to Shula and Hank, one of the last times I spent some quality time with Shula was at Gulfstream Park. Hank had Shula, Greasy, couple of friends of Shula's, and me out for lunch. And we had the time of our life, and Hank was just beaming every minute of the time because he was always so happy to be around Shula and loved Shula. But really, that was the last time I spent some real quality time with Shula, and it was great. It was great, and it was set up. It was set up by Hank. Interestingly enough,
I've said this a couple times to a couple of other guests here in the last 2 days. I wish Shoes would have hung on just a couple of more years. Yeah. Because I actually think they finally have the right people in place to turn this damn thing around. And it's been a frustrating 20 years. And unfortunately, we've watched them tear down everything that Shula built. But I actually
we criticized him. He was criticized when he went 11-5.
I know.
Oh, we need somebody better than 11. What this franchise would give for an 11-5 right now.
I know. I told the listeners that we got spoiled to the point that 10 wins wasn't enough anymore. You know what I mean? And it was just like so ridiculous. That's why I've always said, and it went on the last couple of years. Oh, no, Riley's past his time. And every time somebody would tell me that, I say, I'm not doing that. I did that with Shula and I screwed up. And we won Jimmy and it never worked out. Jimmy, Saban, Parcells, none of that worked out. We should have stayed with Shula. Well, guess what? Look at Riley. He's finally getting them out of that rut with those bad contracts. Now we see these young guys and Jimmy Butler, and you see, it's kind of what we had to do with with Shula back in those days, and we didn't, and we screwed up. And I learned my lesson at that time, and that's why I have never been one of those guys that wants to ever get rid of Riley. I'm like, Riley will write his ticket. Whenever the heck he wants to walk out the door, I'm good.
On his terms.
Yes, I'm good, which is what we should have done with Shula. We should have let him walk out on his terms. But my point is, I think Greer and Flores get it. I think they're actually doing what football people really do in building a football team for once. And I actually
I agree. It's just a shame we had to wait 20 years for this. But I agree.
And that's where I wish Shula would have stuck around a couple more years to see this thing that it's about to get turned around. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Andy Cohen, of course, from MiamiDolphins.com and Dolphins Digest. So, I was talking about that the Dolphins Digest was like a Bible for us. You know what I mean?
In the late 90s, we had 40,000 subscribers in 17 different countries. I'm sorry. Every state, 17 countries, 40,000 subscribers. That was before the internet.
Yeah.
And when the internet came along, it changed all the rules of publishing, as you know.
I know. It was just one of those things, man, and it just it was a staple for us as Dolph fans. You know what I mean? Kind of like it was buying the Miami News and the Miami Herald back in when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I mean, that was just the thing that you had to do. When you think about your favorite Shula moment as a reporter, what is it?
Late July, 1983. I'm standing. The media was allowed on the practice field back then. I'm standing 10 feet from Shula when number 13 comes on the practice field for the first time, and I'm standing there, and we see Marino pass after pass, just zipping the ball, unlike any quarterback any of us had seen in person before. And I will never forget the expression on Shula's face. It was like a father who had discovered his long-lost son. He had a grin on his face, Orlando, and just shaking his head back and forth, because at that moment, I believe he knew what Marino was going to be. And really, that's the expression on his face that will always be frozen in time in my mind.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because the second we saw him come off the bench in Oakland against Oakland, it was over from there on out, and that guy left a lasting impression. And for you covered the early '80s, the adjustment he went from Greasy to Woodstock to then Marino. That in itself to win with all kinds of different quarterbacks and different offenses. I mean, that really, I think while the early 70s are going to be the ultimate stamp of why he was great because of the championships and the perfect season, some of his best coaching was during that entire stretch, from coaching the Scabs to adjusting in that season, those multiple quarterbacks from.
1982 Orlando is a great example of that, because he had Strock and Woodley. He did something undefinable. I mean, he didn't go with a running game or a passing game. He made do with what he had by having a two-headed quarterback. That was an incredible coaching job that year.
Yeah. No, and I remember even the replacement players were like the least penalized team out of that group and all of that.
Correct.
I mean, it was just one of those things that he made you marvel as a fan that whoever and that's why Bum Phillips used that famous line.
100%. I was just thinking about that, Orlando. You're 100% right.
It's just one of those things that as a fan, it just reminded you all the time on how great this man was, because he understood what he had, and he didn't force the square peg into the round hole, ever.
No doubt about it. I'll never forget Dan Marino's first game he ever started in the Orange Bowl. They lost to the Buffalo Bills. Joe Ferguson had a great game to the Bills in overtime. They lost 34-31. And in the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, the next day, my lead sentence was, the Dolphins lost the game and Don Shula was smiling because he knew what he had in Marino. Because Marino threw for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns. And the bigger picture, for one rare day that day, the bigger picture was more important than the individual picture of that game. And the bigger picture was that he found the quarterback.
Yeah, and who knows? Do you think we found another one finally?
Boy, it's early to tell, but this is the first time that someone's coming with a pedigree like Marino, since Marino, actually.
Yeah.
And he has a chance to be special. He's got it, Orlando.
Yes,
He's got it. And if he can just stay healthy, he's got a chance to be a special player for a long time.
Isn't that funny? Because we're not. It's not a guy that needs to learn how to play the game. It's not a guy that needs to learn how to throw a touch pass. He
knows all that.
It's a guy that just needs to stay healthy. That he can do everything else because he's shown it to you. And we've had issues with all kinds of guys with accuracy and ball placement. This guy excels at all of that, which is a trait that is so important in this league because it's such a fast league. It's a receiving league, and your quarterback must be deadly accurate, must put the ball in the right place to keep the guys flowing and not stop them. And this guy has all of those things. And it's
I'd like to see Shula in his prime coaching Tua.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun.
He'd have fun with that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Does he play this year? Because I keep telling people I don't think he plays unless they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, and that offensive line is playing really, really well. And obviously, they've got to feel like he's completely 100% healthy and ready to take a hit. But I kind of feel like those three have to be in place before you put him out there. You agree?
Well, the other factor is you have a 38-year-old starting quarterback who has not been injured in a long time.
Right.
And there are those who think, what happens if he goes down? And if he goes down, everything changes because Tua will clearly be next in line. So if injuries become a factor, that could change the whole timetable. But I think under the ideal scenario, I think he watches the first 3 months of the season and then starts the last month of the season. That's what I think.
What was the moment that was the most uncomfortable for you in covering Shula?
Oh, wow.
Was it 95?
Yeah, anything that tarnished the integrity of the game. When he brought in a player, he brought in a running back, Chuck Muncie, for training camp one year, and he was trouble from day one. But Shula really needed a running back, and it took Shula about a week to realize that Muncie was not what he wanted at the time. And he was really, really mad at that point because he had difficulty understanding how a player with talent couldn't just give everything he had and devote his body, soul, and mind to it. And when he found players who didn't, it really, really disgusted him. It really did. And there were drug issues with Muncie. I remember that. And he was here for a while, not a long while, but it really, really angered Shula because of the integrity of the game and how high and how important that was to him.
The Oglesby situation when he said he got either kidnapped or taken by Martians or whatever.
He laughed about that a lot too, in retrospect. But he breaking rules. He just abhorred players that broke rules, especially his rules. He was an interesting diversion of a man because he went to mass every morning. He was deeply religious, and then he would come out and coach such a violent game and do it in a mannerism where he intimidated, he challenged, he threw so many things at the table for a player. The enormity of playing for Shula was certainly there, and those who got through it and excelled, love him so much today.
Andy, before I let you go, we're going to have Tom Garfinkel on at 2:15, and I'm going to ask him about this. But your thoughts on this? We're not going to be able to give him a proper celebration at the stadium this year because of COVID. So I'm wondering, are we going to do it in parts? Because we won't be able to do it till maybe next off season or next year that we'll be able to pack the state. Like what we did for Marino, you know, we've got to do for Shula. The same thing we did for Marino, we've got to do for Shula, but we won't be able to do it this year. So how do we do it? Is it going to be in parts that maybe we do some kind of a TV-like celebration the first go-around, and then next off season or next year we all get together at the stadium to do a real Shula thing?
Yeah, I thought about this shortly after I learned of his death. That what a shame that he will not be honored in the public light. If you left his funeral, they would never do this. But if you left the funeral open to the public, there'd be 40,000 people there. It'd be incredible. And I envisioned in a non-virus world them certainly having a celebration for Shula at the stadium, whether it was tied into a game, whether it was just for that, which I think would also draw very well. But yeah, everything has to be on hold. I think they need to try to take advantage of the world we're in now and maybe have a virtual celebration where, I don't know, can you get hundreds, thousands of people on a virtual celebration? I don't know how it works. I don't know the extreme of something like Zoom, and what it could do. But if you can't, I know his funeral, there'll probably be 8 or 10 people there, his kids.
Right.
It's a shame. It really is a shame because he deserved much more than he's going to be able to get because of this. And I believe something will happen, and I think it will be wonderful, but I think we're going to have to wait.
Yeah, this COVID thing has changed everything in our world. Of course, you could follow him on Twitter like I and so many others do at @CohenFins and catch his work at MiamiDolphins.com. He is the great Andy Cohen. Andy, you are a stud, my man. Thank you for taking some time on this very special week honoring the greatest of all time there, Don Shula. Thank you, sir.
Oh, always a pleasure, and you stay well.
Thank you, my friend. You be good.
Okay.
There you
Bye.
go. What is it? Tall Ken Chit says, did Marino die and Marino passed? No, dude. When Marino retired, we had this big-ass celebration in the stadium. And we celebrated retiring his number and all that. It wasn't a game. It was a night that we all went to. I know because I hosted it on QAM. I was the host on the radio station that night. That's one of my highlights of my career, is hosting that night and celebrating Dan Marino. In fact, if I remember correctly, Joe Namath was drunk off his ass in that one. And, he had to talk. He talked a little bit, but he said, yeah, I want to kiss you, that kind of stuff.
They had the other 4 83 draft picks, the quarterbacks.
Yes.
And Hootie and the Blowfish,
yes.
Marino's favorite, closed out.
Right.
They did Mustang Sally.
Yep.
I had the pleasure of obviously being with you that night and helping assist. I remember we were getting people for Mandich, I think, that was on and taking them down to the Marlins dugout to get on the phone, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because Mandich did the pre-show, right?
Yep.
And we helped Mandich, and then I went up and I did the in-ceremony hosting.
All the way through the closeout.
Through the whole thing. That was one of my favorite moments of all time. And for me, I was in cloud 9 because obviously Marino's my guy. That's my favorite Dolphin of all time. And I'm the guy that hosted his retirement at the stadium. And I remember also I was at the Hall of Fame that week that he got inducted, and I was able to do my radio show then too. So that was, for me, I was on cloud freaking 9. So that celebration that we had for Marino, we got to have it for Shula, bro. We got to have something at the stadium for Shula where we're all jammed into that place, celebrating everything he brought to us, all the winning. It's a moment that we've all got to have together, man. We have to have that.
They had the stage set up out in left field, if you remember.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
I know.
You know what? You know what was big for me? Obviously, us being up in the press box and changing from Mandich to you,
right,
for the broadcast,
right,
and getting a chance to talk to Mr. Mandich and to see that what a really nice guy he was. And I remember saying, so not his personality on radio,
What are you talking about, Mandich, or are you talking about
Jim
Hank?
Mandich? No, Jim Mandich.
Mandich was awesome.
Because of Mad Dog and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just what a really nice guy.
Amazing. Yeah.
You would not think that based on the Mad Dog persona per se, Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break. Troy Stradford is next. He was the 87 Rookie of the Year for Don Shula in the AFC. Dougie Fresh says, great interview. Andy was slick bringing the paper to the coach Shula, information and self-promotion. And also that way the coach knows who you are, in those days, because there's no internet or anything like that. Let's see what else. Ray says they sang Doobie Brothers song at the end with Hootie and the Blowfish. I remember. There you go. So good stuff as always. Thank you all for chiming in as always, like you always do on the YouTube chat board. All right, let's talk to my buddy Troy Stradford. I've known Troy for over 20 years, worked with him, known him for a long time. I look forward to hearing his Shula stories next.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty.
This is the Big O Show.
We are back. We're ready to rock and roll. And, of course, I promised you Troy Stratford would be kind enough to join us, the 87 Rookie of the Year in the AFC for the Miami Dolphins and for Don Shula. And, of course, you could follow him on Twitter at Troy Stratford. Troy, how you doing, my friend?
Big O, I am well. Good to hear from you. How are you doing?
I cannot complain, man. We are rocking, doing this thing every single day and growing this this puppy every day. And in a world of on demand, we are in demand, which is a beautiful thing. So
that is a beautiful thing.
You know, it's nice, and we thank all the folks out there for being so kind in supporting us every single day out here for a long, long time. And obviously, Troy, you and I have known each other for a very long time. Your thoughts yesterday when you heard the news that your coach passed away?
As soon as I got the news, I actually got it from my girlfriend. She was breaking news to me. I just immediately just started reviewing in my mind of when I first met him, how I was playing for him, what he taught me, how we were always prepared. So it was a nice little journey that I had, just thinking back on all the time that I had with Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins.
What was that phone call when he drafted you? Talk to me. When you got drafted by the Dolphins, how did that whole thing, how did your initial meeting happen with Shula?
Well, initially, I did not speak to Shula because I was drafted in the 4th round. I guess he was long gone by then. He was doing something else, probably tending to the 1st and 2nd round draft picks that year. So I actually met Shula. It would have been the 2nd time I met him the very next day when I flew down to Miami and we went out and did the 12-mile run or 12-minute run. And we went through drills and all of that stuff. That was the first time that I was really back and forth with him and getting to see him kind of move around. The first time I met him at the Combine when I was coming out that year. And I had happened to play in the Japan Bowl. And in my mind, I keep thinking about this. Is this the reason why the Dolphins drafted me? Because Mike Shula, his grandson, was the quarterback of that team in Japan.
and I had a great game. And when I got to Indy for the combine, I'm loosening up, getting ready to go through drills, and who do I see but Mike Shula? And we have a small conversation, and then he's like, "Hey, come with me. I want to introduce you to someone." And I was like, okay, not thinking it's his grandfather, Don Shula, but that's exactly who it was. And I had to be, I'm sure, just dumbfounded and babbling over myself meeting him, because growing up a Dolphin fan, I knew the history about Don Shula and how great he was in the National Football League. And to meet him on a whim like that was something special.
All right, so you meet him. When was the first time you felt the wrath of Don Shula?
Probably the first time I dropped a pass in practice or something like that. But truth be told, I was only in the hot seat one time for the entire time that I played under Shula. We played the Chicago Bears one year, and I mean, this was after the 85, that great defense they had with Mike Singletary in the middle. Mike Singletary was there calling out every single play that we ran, that we would get ready. We're sitting there in formation, and he's like, sweep left, sweep right. He's like, they're coming right here. He called out everything. And me being a young player, I made the mistake of talking to the reporters after the game, and I said, it's like our offense is predictable. And who was our offensive coordinator but David Shula, his son. So it was like I kind of took a shot at his son. And I didn't know any better. So I woke up the next day, Big O. I get the newspaper, because that was how you got all your information. And I read the article, and I said, uh-oh. I said, I'm in trouble. I said, I better get over to training camp quickly before everyone else gets there, because I know Coach is going to want to talk to me. Sure enough, I'm one of the first few in the locker room, and Coach comes over to me, and he's like, Shula want to see you in the back. And I said, okay, here we go. So I go in there, and he uses a few choice words of, why do I have to get up and read about you in the newspaper and answer questions to reporters about you? Like, I'm like pretty much saying, what are you talking about, Coach? And he's like, you didn't see the article in the paper? And I go, no. And so he had the paper in front of him, took the paper, threw it at me, and he said, here, read it. So I sat there. Now, I already read the article when I was home. So I sat there and reread the article, and he's like, I don't ever want to have to sit and talk to reporters and answer questions about you ever again. I was like, never again, Coach, no problem. So that was my first and my last time being in his office, period. That was it.
So did you ever use that advice and somebody actually went with it? Or did most guys, when they were warned about Shula, they still screwed up anyways and they ended up feeling the wrath? Did anybody ever learn?
Oh, no one learns until you go into the room. And then you still had knuckleheads over the years who would continue to go back into that room. No, I was a one and done guy. I was like, okay, you talked to me one time about it, I'm not coming back in here. But, everyone who came to the Miami Dolphins, no matter what year it was, when Shula was there, you learned on your own. Yeah, guys could talk about it, but you learn on your own as soon as you cross that line and you do something wrong. Because remember, it was a different time and place at that point where the coach was, the king of everything. He ran everything. And so you just didn't cross down Shula. You didn't have to, you didn't want Shula having to go to the guys in the newspaper and answer questions about you personally, because you knew you were going to be in trouble.
Troy, and we're talking with Troy Stratford, of course, former Miami Dolphin. And Troy, you and I have actually had this conversation in the past that you guys in the locker room cannot really be fooled. You know the guys that work hard, the guys that don't. You know the good players. You know the bad players. It's really impossible to hide it from you guys. And players, we've talked about this too, that players, they fall in love and respect the coach when they know the coach knows what the hell he's doing. He knows how to handle players. He knows how to put them in positions to be successful, those kind of things. Shula clearly was exceptional at finding people's strengths and weaknesses and using them to their strengths. Do you remember the first time that you said, "Oh, I'm in good hands. This guy knows what the hell he's doing"? And you know how it is. You guys will sell out to your coach. Once your coach knows what he's doing, even if it doesn't make sense to you at the moment, you're going to go through the wall for him because you know that whatever he's telling you, it's going to end up working out if I do what he says. So what was that first moment for you?
Well, going back to what you're saying about how guys in the locker room, they know who's good, they know who works hard. Players know how good they are and how hard they work as an individual. And so me being a rookie, I was just terrified coming down here because I didn't know what to expect at all. I didn't even know if I could play on this level. That's the kind of person that I was coming out. I'm like, okay, this is the NFL. This is crazy stuff. So we had that first week of practice, and I learned from going to the meetings. I said, okay, this is a different animal. And Coach Shula, he was in every meeting that I've ever had as a member of the Miami Dolphins. He was never sick. He was always there. He always sat in the offensive meetings. And so I learned very early on because he would correct people right there on the spot. And I said, okay, I got to make sure I know my stuff. So, yeah, I have a little cheat sheet on my hand and remember certain players that I was having trouble with. But as that week went along, my first week down here, Coach Shula, in the meeting, he said, all right, we had a young quarterback. I can't even remember his name. He said, we're going to have him step up and work with the first unit, and we're going to have Dan work with the younger guys. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, this is not how things work. Like, this young guy probably not even going to make the team, and he's going to work with the first unit. But Shula, and I was right about this, he wanted to see if I could play with Dan Marino. So I had the final two practices. It was 2 days back then. Final two practices, he instructed Dan to throw me every single pass out of the backfield, whatever it was, go to Troy. Let's see how he adapts to everything. And so I started feeling like, okay, Coach Shula likes me a little bit. And sure enough, that practice was over. I had a little meeting with the offensive coordinator at the time, and they sent me home with a playbook, and they told me, not only do we want you to learn the running back position, we want you to learn how to run the position in the slot as well. And that was my intro to Don Shula, knowing that he actually took a liking to me. And then over the course of the career, I learned more about the type of player that Don Shula was drafting to be a part of his team. And the one thing that people always talk about his football teams is that they were all smart. They had good, high football IQs. His team was least penalized, and I know a lot of people want to say that was because he was on the rules committee, but no, he did not tolerate mistakes in practice or anything like that, so everybody was always on the same page, and it was just a good thing to be in his system. But I learned early on that first week that he took a liking to me. And, over the next couple of years, he would say, the one thing I like about Troy, or the main thing I like about Troy, is you tell him something one time and that's enough. Like, he's not going to make that same mistake twice. So I felt good being a part of one of his teams because I knew the type of player that he drafted, which was considered to be a smart football player.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I definitely understand that. And we're talking, of course, with Troy Stratford, former Miami Dolphins running back, talking a little Don Shula. And, I was just talking with Andy Cohen about this. When we talk about smart players and all of that, he did the same thing with the replacement players in the early 80s. In that season, when he had them for whatever it was, 5-6 games, they were the least penalized group out of all the replacement teams. And so it kind of told you, like, it didn't matter who he coached. You were always better because he coached you. And so I asked several players about this. How does he walk the fine line between motivation and intimidation? Because he did both, but, you got to be able to do both the right way, Troy, because, the intimidation may never come off as motivation. And then the motivation may come off as intimidation, and it doesn't connect. there's a difference between the two. So explain how Shula was able to actually walk that fine line with you guys.
Well, he did a great job of doing it. I don't know how he did it, but I will say this. When it comes to motivating his football team, I think because he always had his football team prepared to play no matter what the situation was. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been games where things just didn't work, but going into every single ball game, you knew you were prepared to be successful. You were going to get plays that were designed for you. Everything was lined up. And then when it comes to the intimidating factor, the history was there, was that jaw, that was real. And Shula, when he walked around, you know, everyone sat up straight. Everyone put their feet on the floor. And no one kind of played around when it comes to Don Shula. Yeah, we had knuckleheads on the team that, you know, the meeting started at 9 o'clock, so you didn't want to be late, so you would be in there about 15 minutes early. And we have had knuckleheads that would stand up at the podium and imitate Don Shula because, to be honest with you, he didn't give the greatest motivational speeches. It was like guys would stand up there and say, okay, Shula's getting ready to come in. This is what he's getting ready to say. And you would have a little chuckle under your breath because he would come in and say exactly what this player stood up there and imitated. But his intimidation just came from who he was, the legacy that he had planted here in the National Football League. And you just didn't want to go into that office because, again, this wasn't the year of big contracts and they could get rid of you in a heartbeat. And it wasn't like there was free agency and you could go shop your talent somewhere else. You were a part of the Miami Dolphins. They owned your rights. And if the Miami Dolphins didn't want you, pretty much you were done. So that was the intimidating factor, that he could get rid of you so fast.
Yeah. And in those days, they didn't have the guarantees they have nowadays. Nowadays, players have a little bit more leverage because of guarantees.
A lot more leverage.
Yeah. They got those guarantees you just didn't get in those days. Troy, what's your funniest moment with Shula? Do you have one?
I really don't have a funny moment with him.
How about somebody else with Shula, and it ended up being a funny moment?
I just know I was just referencing how you just didn't play around with him. I can remember one linebacker. We come back from a road trip, and he gets on the microphone once the plane lands here in Fort Lauderdale. He gets on the microphone before everyone deplanes. And he starts doing the whole Shula imitation thing again. He was cut the very next day. Put up with. And then there was one more story to show you how hard-nosed he was.
Wait a minute. But wait, hold on a second. Did Shula, lose it right there on the plane with the intimidation?
No.
Or
You just knew that the guy didn't show up in the locker room the next day.
Okay.
He was gone. And so that sends a message to everyone else. You know, unless you were Marino, Dubois, Clayton, you just didn't get away with those kind of things because those were the only three guys that could kind of bend the rules a little bit. Like, I've never seen Dan Marino, conditioned ever. And I'm like, I have no idea how you make it through a football game. And I've never seen you run a gasser or a 12-minute run or anything like that, but somehow he did it. But the other thing that just showed how ruthless Shula was, we had a game in Pittsburgh. And so early in the morning, everyone's leaving. Everyone's on 95 North, going to Fort Lauderdale Airport, and there's a bad accident on 95. And so many guys, just got around it. I was one of those who just escaped being stuck in, just bumper-to-bumper traffic where it just was standstill. Well, we had, I think it was 3 players who got stuck in the traffic. They're on their phones and they're calling. Yes, we did have cell phones back then. They're calling and they let Stu Weinstein, head of security, and they let Shula know. And this is a charter plane. They can take off whenever it wants to take off, right? You can wait for these players. Right. And so Shula's like, no, we leave at 9 o'clock. He's like, so close the door. Let's go. They could pay their own way to get to Pittsburgh. And they had to do that. So he knew he had 3 players that were part of the rotation and everything just got through this accident, and he's like, I'm leaving them anyway. And that's just the type of coach that he was.
Wow. And in those days, how much did those people spend on those plane tickets? Because it must have been a boatload of money they spent on short notice plane tickets.
Oh, I have no idea how much it cost them, but it was, it was comical at the meeting that night. They were like, oh man, because there was no connecting flight. They had to take 2 flights to get there. Oh. So it was a rough day for them.
Oh, wow. That is some tough stuff. Troy, man, I appreciate you taking some time to talk a little Shula, man. I know it's a rough one for all of us. I know he lived a full life at 90. That's for sure. I wish I can get to 90, but it still gets you by surprise because when you hear the news, it's almost like you expect him to last another 20 years.
Absolutely.
Because he's such a rock for like you just said, he was in every meeting every single time, never sick, never out. And that's kind of the image you have of Shoes, that he's always going to be there and outlive all of us. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those things that caught us by surprise yesterday when we heard the news.
I agree 100%, and it hit me harder than, not that I ever thought about that before, but when I found out, like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, wow, like, I never even considered that, never thought of that. And, just in reflecting, everyone who has a liking to Shula or what you want to call it, they all have a story about Don Shula. When they met him, when they took a picture of him, it was that lasting on every person that he touched. And that's a rare thing in life.
All right. One more thing before I let you go. What'd you think of the Tua pick / gamble, however you want to look at it?
I love it. I love it. And I'm not going on the King for Tua thing. I just believe if he had not gotten hurt, I think he would have been 1 or 2 drafted when it comes to Burrow, because he had an outstanding season. Not him at all. And I think at that point it would have come down to which organization does he fit in better. But I like the fact that Fitzpatrick is still here. So if the young man is fully not healed, you could take your time with him and you could bring him along at his pace. And I think that what Flores and Greer are building here is absolutely going to be special. And once you slide him in there, if he lives up to the billing, that he's that lefty Drew Brees that's out there, the Miami Dolphins will be in good hands moving forward.
I agree with you 100%. And all we need is for the young man to get a couple breaks here and stay healthy. And I think everything else works out, because you don't have to teach him how to play the position. That's the difference. All he has to do is stay healthy and adjust to, of course, game speed at this level and decision-making, which is the adjustment every player has to make at every position, because the hole closes a lot faster in the NFL than it does in college, doesn't it, Troy? So you better get to that hole real quickly, right? So,
otherwise it won't be there.
Yeah, the adjustment is there for every player, and he can make that adjustment. But it's not about teaching him pocket presence or deep ball or touch passes or learn how to read and all. No, this kid has it all. He has it. He has it. That's the way you got to look at him. And by the way, there is no argument. He would have been number 1 overall without no hip injury.
And you know what? I'm going to agree with you on that, too. His resume is longer. He has really shown no weaknesses outside of just the injuries that he's had, which is a big thing. You can't ignore that.
Can't.
But other than that, he's a flawless football player. And like you said, once he adjusts and how tight windows are, he will make that adjustment because he has that natural ability, and it will work out for him.
Yeah, I get sexually aroused with accuracy, and that kid's got it, man. So I know I'm going to be horny in every Dolphins game when he plays.
Hey, that's a good thing. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has actually. It has. Yes. Troy, you are a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking some time, man. Follow him on Twitter at Troy Stratford. Look forward to doing it again, my friend. You be good.
You got it, Big O. Stay safe.
You got it. There you go. The great Troy Stratford, man. Good stuff. Good friend. Let's see. Let's go to the chat board here before we go to the break. Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans then. Some people have the best names out there, right? like the other guy that has Hank Goldberg's left nut. So this guy's asking, so can you please tell me how you set up your radio program, please? This is nice quality then. Well, we are on every day at 11 a.m., and then it gets podcasted, so you can download it. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, all that stuff at Big O Radio Show. Okay? There you go. Now, tomorrow we'll be on at noon instead of 11. Normally it's 11 every day, but tomorrow at VSS West Pines at one of our sponsors, we'll be on at noon. And then he also asked, or she, it says the text line, but what is the phone number to call in? No phone numbers to call in for now. We're thinking, we're trying to add that down the line. The text is the way, YouTube, Super Chat, and Twitter, Big O Show, is the ways to contact the show. And does the radio, no, we don't take phone calls, not yet. So does this radio program take phone calls? No. Okay? So there you go. No phone calls yet. But we do answer on the text line if you send it in, on the chat board, Super Chat, Twitter, we answer your questions. We are actually interactive, like I just did now that I read your questions. It's amazing how many times a radio program has a phone number that doesn't advertise it. Well, there you go. We have ours. We advertise it. We use it. It's all good. George says, let's show our boy Big O likes, shares, subscribe. Yes, likes, shares, subscribe. Share it with everybody. At 2:15, the president of the Dolphins organization, Tom Garfinkel, is going to join us. 2:15. Okay? So we got a lot of things to talk to Tom about. We'll have a little fun with him. Catherine says, I don't even like sports, and I have no idea how I even got here, but I like his radio voice. Well, Catherine, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Wow, just listening for the voice? Wow. Okay.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I know she's not watching for the face, because I know I have a face for radio, Catherine. So the voice, okay, we'll take it. I mean, at this point, we'll take anything we can get. Let's see. Clee says, Mike Shula's Don's son, not grandson. Troy's wrong. Said it several times. Oh, it's all right. Whatever. Let's see. What else? Tom A says, love watching Troy run. Had his jersey. Troy's a great dude, man. He is a great dude. What's in the box on the left side with Jose Fernandez? What is it? Catherine, you're asking me that? Well, see, this is a Jose Fernandez bobblehead. And it's brand new, and it's in the box. So it's a collector's item. So I can open the box for you and show you that.
Doesn't have any tape, does it? You're not depleting the value or anything.
No. I don't plan on selling it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to keep it for I don't sell any of the stuff I have. I'm a fan, bro. I'm going to keep it as a memory.
See, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Opening day at the Marlins, the limited edition pin set. Opening day, I bought two. One to buy and hold for me, and the other one was to sell when it's worth.
There you go. There you go. So there's the Jose Fernandez. You see? But I'm new, man. You actually made me take it out for the first time. I've never taken it out. Or the statue. That's what she said. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. That's my brand new Jose Fernandez bobblehead that I took out for the first time for Catherine, who's tuning in. For the first time, she had no idea how she ran into us, and now she's just watching us.
We start at 12 tomorrow.
And we start at noon tomorrow. Yeah, start at noon tomorrow, Catherine. Oh, gotta love it, man. That is fantastic. Let's see. What else do we have? What is the call-in number for the callers then? You not pay attention? Okay.
Remember,
Alexa B says, we love you. Good, had tacos for lunch. Ooh. Well, Alexa, you're not sharing any tacos with us?
It's Taco Tuesday, man.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing for dinner tonight.
You know what?
Taco Tuesday.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll go do some tacos today.
Cinco de Mayo, man. Yeah. I was noticing online there's a bunch of places that have specials, drive-ups. They'll even give you a margarita kit.
Although
Okay.
Alexa's sharing maybe a little too much information. She says, lime is my go-to, though. Chipotle had me going to the emergency room. I ate at lime once. It's pretty good. I like it. Josh says, Ray Finkel is going to be on. Yes, we're going to have Ray Finkel on. Yes. Salsa Fiesta is good, too. I like Salsa Fiesta. They're not bad also. Kino Smith, Bimini loves Shula forever. Red Angry Cuban, Chipotle ass. I guess he's not a Chipotle fan. Super Boom Shack says denim and leather Tuesday. Okay. Oh, Saxon, denim and leather. I like it. Oh, I just picked up on it because I have the Saxon shirt, denim and leather. Okay. Very good, very good, very good. I don't think anybody else caught that because you got to be a Saxon fan and know the song Denim and Leather. You know what I mean? But nice. Nice. Pat in Nashville says Spider-Man looks pissed back there. Bad posture, too. Yeah.
No, there's a reason.
Yeah, we added the I had to put a little Panther love. So I got a Panther flag, and you see I added the Inter banners also to give it a little bit more, a little more balance there and bring some stuff. Is Spider-Man better now? Because he's kind of I had him slouched over the Eiffel Tower.
He was hugging the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, and for those of you tuning in, just so you'll know, if you're wondering that Eiffel Tower, I bought that Eiffel Tower last year in Paris. I took the wife for the 25th wedding anniversary, and so I wanted a memory of Paris, and so I wanted to buy one, and I figured I'd put it in my studio. Had no idea this was the plan, by the way. I was going to do that. I just had it in the studio. I have it in the studio. I didn't know that we were going to do, our own live show and all that in studio and all that good stuff.
I can remember one of the callers asked, what is that, blah, 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 and you were like, oh, hold on a minute. And when you lit it up, and that was it.
That's it.
Since then, it's had to be a lit-up fixture when we're in the studio.
I bought that one, and I bought this one. This is actually one of my favorite pieces that I've ever bought on the road. The Arc de Triomphe.
Don't drop that.
No,
it'll
this
go
thing
to the
is
hospital.
pure steel, bro. I can kill somebody with this thing. Seriously, it weighs 10 pounds. I have to, if you notice how I'm holding it, because you can't hold it flimsy. It'll fall right out of your hand. But this thing is beautiful, man. Great work on it. Only cost me $30, $32. And considering what it's made out of, like if it was plastic and you paid $32,
right?
You know what I mean?
That's real.
This thing is real, bro. I mean, this is real, bro. This thing is.
Didn't the wife put the thing up underneath because of
Yes.
the weight? It was going to scratch up the desk. I remember.
My wife added the little fur crap on the bottom so it doesn't hurt the desk.
Yeah, because that thing, if you drop it, man, your toe's screwed. For 6 months.
No, it's broken.
Yeah,
it's broken.
You're going to have to tape it to the guy next door for 6 months probably.
Yeah, you won't survive. You won't survive. So there you go. What do we have here? Andrea Luke says, glad I found you again, Big O. You always speak the truth about the Dolphins. I am a season ticket holder and so excited about the Dolphins. You should be, Andrea. Josh, there's a rumor out there that James Rodriguez might play for Inter. That would be good. Hi, Miss. Jess. Hi, Miss. That would be awesome. I'll take it. You know, look, bro. I know I work for Inter, so I'm going to be a little biased on it. But Jorge Mas is the real deal. He's one of us. And he gets this town. So he knows he has to bring stars here. He knows it. We're going to have a great soccer team. I'm telling you. Myron says, I saw the video when you were having dinner with your wife and surprised her with the ring. Oh, nice job. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah, I gave my wife a new wedding ring. We had dinner at the Eiffel Tower. And then I went to the bathroom, and I told the maitre d', hey, here's my camera, my phone. Can you film me coming up the stairs and walking to my table to give my wife the new wedding ring? And he goes, sure, no problem. And so then they filmed it, and the rest is history. And I surprised the crap out of her with a new ring, although I had to get that ring through 2 security checks at the Eiffel Tower with my wife in front of me. That is not an easy thing, I'm telling you. But we did it. Let's see. Can I have a shout-out? My name is Danon Lee from Northern Ireland. Danon Lee, Northern Ireland. Yeah, baby. Thank you for tuning in. I will be, well, I my geography's kind of screwed up. Is Belfast in Northern or Southern Ireland?
As he asked the Irish guy, I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
Well,
I haven't had the opportunity to get there, but we will.
Danon Lee.
We are.
On the next U2 album, their next tour, whenever it is, when they go to Ireland and they go to Dublin, no, Dublin, not Belfast, Dublin, I will be there. Wherever Dublin is, I'm not sure. See, I would lie to you. I know it's in Northern Ireland. It's Southern Ireland. I have no idea. But I am going to go to Dublin the next time U2 is on tour and going to Dublin. That is on my bucket list. If I don't see U2 in Dublin before I die, it's an incomplete life. That's all. It's an incomplete life. So I must go to Dublin on the next U2 tour. Bank it.
We did say we were going to actually see multiple shows. So
yeah,
there is the
I'm not
possibility.
Going. Well, maybe we'll go to Belfast.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I would like us to do that, please. My Irishness.
All right. So, Danon Lee, now that you are part of the family, Danon Lee, you're going to have to meet us out there and give us some pointers and stuff like that. All right? Let's see. What else do we have here? Super Boom Shack says Saxon or Helix. LOL. Yeah, I know you're not. You had to LOL that. Helix is nice, but comparing them or asking about Saxon, yeah. Tom A., so have enjoyed all this Shula talk. The tributes have rolled in from every direction. Shows the magnitude of the man. He is the man. That's why. Mike Dominguez says, Big O has there been any more talk about MLB or NBA coming back without fans? Oh, they're all coming back without fans, my man. Guaranteed. Unless we have massive testing, these leagues aren't going to allow people in because then they're going to get lawsuits. They don't want to be a part of lawsuits. Cities and municipalities that own these arenas and stadiums, they don't want to be part of lawsuits. So that's why California and New York, you're not going to see pro sports there this year. This is a really tricky situation. It's not a bridge that's really easy to cross that people talk about. So this is going to be a challenge. And the NBA is the only one that's come out full out and said, we're not doing anything until there's massive testing. They figured out they need 200,000 tests to run their league. Right now, an American with symptoms has trouble getting a test. You think the NBA is going to sit there and take 200,000 tests from Americans that need tests? No way, dude. That is such a bad look for the NBA. The NFL is more capitalistic. They kind of don't give a rat's ass. But the NBA is a little bit more, about humanity. And they're not going to want to do that. So let's take a break. Tom Garfinkel, okay, president of the Miami Dolphins, will join us next.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All right, we are ready to rock. We promised you Tom Garfinkel.
This is the Big O
the
Show.
Vice Chairman, President, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins in Hard Rock
This
Stadium.
is the Big O Show.
Would be kind enough to join us now on the program, so we'll talk to Tom. We are, I guess we're trying to get him on there. You got him good there? You got him? You got him? You ready? Tom, can you hear me? Let's see. No? All right, hold on. All right, let's see. He's going to get in contact with. He's having a little bit of a technical snafu here, so he needs to contact him. He's going to call him now and get him on in 1 second here. Pat Nashville says, so many great songs, So Cruel Is Mine, and it's never been played live. You talk about U2? No, for me, it's Drowning Man. Never heard that one live. That is mine. Let's see. Michael Jordan fan says NBA shouldn't return. Everything will return eventually. Trust me. All right, here we go. We are ready to rock and roll with Mr. Tom Garfinkel, of course, the Vice Chairman, President, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium. Always kind enough to join us. Mr. Garfinkel, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
It's always good to have you on, man. We're hanging in there. We're trying to stay COVID-free. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those, Tom, that we all walk around paranoid because we have no idea if we have it, we don't have it, or we already had it. It's one of those things. I have no idea which one it is. Isn't it crazy that we have to walk around like that?
Unprecedented times, my friend. Unprecedented times.
And I
definitely different time.
And I got to commend you guys. I believe you're the only NFL stadium that is assisting in this COVID pandemic, as you guys have been a testing site for folks.
Well, I don't know if we're the only one. I know here in South Florida, the governor took the initiative, and the National Guard's involved, and we've had a testing site now there for several weeks, and we're happy they're able to use the facility, and we're able to help any way we can.
You guys, as always, Tom, you are way ahead of the curve, and you are just the best at what you do. First of all, Tom, when you got the news yesterday, walk us through your experience at that moment.
Oh, well, I think the first reaction is just a very personal one. A coach who's a friend. I had the great opportunity and honor of getting to know him, and I met him. He was 83 years old when I met him, so I've known him about 7 years. I got to know the man. I never really knew the coach, and he was just a wonderful guy, just a wonderful person. Great father, husband, friend, wonderful to be around. So really just thinking about Marianne and the family and missing my friend. And then you kind of go into, okay, what do I need to do mode, and who do I need to talk to, and how do I need to handle this? And how do we make sure we can protect the family and the message gets out right in the right way and all those kinds of things. So you kind of quickly get into that. But really it was just about, friendship and being sad and thinking about all the people that I know that, the Bob Greaseys and Jimmy Cefalos and Dan Marinos and, the people, Kim Bocamper and Joe Rose and Larry Zonka and all the people that have been telling me stories about Coach Shula for so many years and all the wonderful things they shared. And so, you feel for those people, and Marianne, who was just one of the most wonderful ladies I've ever met. So it was a tough day yesterday.
I can imagine. And how his impact on all of us that have been, lifelong Dolphin fans, and how it is. In the last 24 hours, what has amazed you about everybody's reaction?
I guess it's a reaction you would expect. I mean, he was just a special guy. He impacted so many people. If you had to pick a handful of people that helped put Miami on the map and build South Florida into what it is today, and really establish, really an icon and a legend of not just the game of football, the NFL, really, Florida and really the country in a lot of ways. I mean, he's certainly one of those people. So I think, the outpouring of love and support and to the family and his friends and all the people that cared about him and how many people's lives he impacted is not surprising, but I know appreciated by so many people.
And Tom, you do such an amazing job of planning for this stadium and events and things like that. And, I had the pleasure when I was at QAM to call Dan Marino's celebration from the booth, and Mandich did the pregame. I did the whole ceremony from the box, and we did it right for Dan Marino and celebrating his career and the retirement of his number and all of that. And so how are we going to handle the Shula one with COVID-19 going on, and we're not going to be able to put a full stadium together yet? We may not be able to do it till 2021. So are you thinking of possibly doing it in parts, where we do something this year and then maybe next year when we can get, 70,000 people in that place and pack it in and celebrate Shula's day? How are you looking at this? How are you viewing this? Because this COVID thing is getting in the way of a lot of things.
Well, look, I think I found out about 30 hours ago. So, I think, we'll take it one step at a time. You can bank on the fact that we'll do a wonderful celebration of Coach Shula's life at some point in the future. When that is, we'll talk to Marianne and talk to the family about what they want and how they want it to go down, and share in the planning of that with them, and make sure we represent his legacy and honor him the right way. And I know there's so many fans and so many people that want to come and honor Coach Shula in the right way. And so, my inclination would be to wait until we can do it in the right way with everybody there. And if we have to wait a while to do that, we'll probably wait. But, we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's any decisions made on that yet. And, we're just kind of taking it one step at a time right now, trying to focus on the family and what their needs are.
Oh, there's no doubt. Obviously, the family first, but and I know you just nailed it when you said so many people are going to want to be a part of this. We all know the funeral will probably be more of a private, deal. But if it was public, man, Tom, can you imagine the people that would be coming from maybe all over the world to come pay their respects? That's the kind of person that we lost yesterday, the kind of person that would probably draw people from all over the world if you would actually open up the funeral itself, right? I mean, I know it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that's how this guy touched so many people.
Yeah, he did. This is a person that exemplified excellence and greatness in everything he did.
Yeah, no,
amazed by getting to know him, his sense of humor, and his just the way he treated people. He made you feel important no matter who you were when you were with him.
I'm with you there. Tom Garfinkel, of course, and don't forget you could follow him on Twitter at Tom Garfinkel, the vice chairman, president, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium. Tom, when you're preparing now for this season, I read where you guys. Well, it's not a plan that's in place, but it looks like you've got some kind of an idea of maybe the way you're going to approach the new way you may have to do things this year with fans, if you have fans in the stadium.
Well, we're looking at all different kinds of scenarios. We want to be prepared for whatever the eventual outcome is. And I think, look, I'm proud of the NFL. I applaud the commissioner's leadership and the way we've approached the free agency and the draft and the schedule release here in a couple of days. And, the approach to be deliberate and measured and protect those most at risk and make sure everyone can be safe is the right one. At the same time, we've got a lot of unemployed people in this country and a lot of things happening. We need to come together as a country and have empathy for people that are suffering and really work to gradually and safely get people back to work and do things. So we're trying to look at it as, right now, I think there's an approach that we're going to start the season on time and have fans. And we're optimistic about that. But we want to have all kinds of scenarios, whether that's no fans or whether, we wanted to provide a scenario that said, here's, if we had a reduced capacity situation and the socially distanced stadium, what would it look like? And let's dig into every detail and every aspect of that and provide that as an option so that as we get to that point, we look at the governor and other government officials and certainly the NFL and defer to them on making sure the first priority is making sure everybody can be safe and healthy. So we just want to provide an option there. And that's really, so we're looking at all different kinds of scenarios, but we're optimistic moving forward.
Tom, the NBA has kind of said they want to get to the point where there's mass testing. Is that something because, man, for you guys, Tom, it's so much harder. You have so many more players than basketball does and even baseball. So it's a lot harder for you guys to balance this whole thing because it takes way more people to put on a football game and travel and everything else. What are the hurdles that you think you guys health-wise need to overcome in order to put the sport back on the field?
Well, they're kind of commonsensical. There's no secret sauce to this. You're trying to keep everybody safe. You're trying to keep everybody healthy. And right now, the scientists and everybody I've talked to, all the healthcare professionals, the only way to ensure that is through social distancing right now. So, and if you test somebody and you know that they don't have it, and then they can be around other people that have been tested that don't have it, as long as they don't go outside that. So, that's what we know. And I'm optimistic when the entire global scientific community is working on something collaboratively that they're going to make unprecedented timelines to make progress, whether that's a treatment or a vaccine or whatever the case may be. But in the meantime, we've got to work to keep everybody safe. And I think there's a way to do that and have people get back to work and do certain things. And if you look at the game of football, it's not just about the game. They've got to practice all week. And,
right.
There's a lot, it takes a lot of people to put on a game. There's camera people and referees and equipment people and all kinds of things. So, we're working through all those issues. I trust the leadership of the league. They do a fantastic job. They're doing their own scenario planning. They're working with a lot of, experts and trying to come up with ways to ensure that, we can play, but and most importantly, do it in a way that's keeps everybody's health and safety in mind.
So, Tom, when we lost Shula yesterday, one of the things that a little regret that I had on me was I wanted him to hang on a little bit more because I think you guys figured it out finally with Greer and Flores, and I think you're headed in the right direction now. And I really would have liked to have seen Shula watch you guys have the success that I believe you guys are going to have over the next couple of years building this thing up. Is there a part of you that thought about that?
Well, look, I think, when we hired Brian, I don't know how soon it was after he got here. I took him over to Coach Shula's house and introduced them, and they got to spend some time together and meet. And I know after that they spent more time talking. And I think there's some kindred spirits there. I think, you're talking about, not to compare anybody to Coach Shula in any way. That would be unfair to Coach Shula and to Brian. But, there's some similar values there in terms of how they look at the game of football, their love for the game of football, their competitiveness, the toughness, the discipline. So they had a lot to talk about, and it was fun being a fly on the wall for that. And, I believe a lot in Brian. I think he's a great coach. I believe in Chris. And I think, taking a step back and trying to say, okay, how do we build this the right way? And I think when you have, 14 draft picks that we went into the draft with, and you have, the room that we had to sign some guys in free agency and try to build this the right way, we got a long way to go. But I think we're on the right path, and I'm optimistic and very optimistic about where we're headed and what we're doing to build a team. The goal is to build something that could be sustainable for the long term, for the future, that we can go compete for championships and honor Coach Shula and the tradition he built and all the players that played for him and the people that came before us. So that's always been the goal.
And Tom, you don't have to be a football expert, but, listen, I've been critical of the franchise over the years of the lack of direction at times, the lack of planning. And you don't have to be a genius to see the way they're doing things. That makes a lot of sense, from the teardown last year to they knew that it wasn't a great, pass rush draft, so they took care of it in free agency. And you figured that the draft is going to have an offensive feel to it. And sure enough, there's a lot of rhyme and reason to what they're doing, whereas for many years we were wondering what was the plan, and it almost was like a Band-Aid to try to fix a problem that's there. They kind of cleared everything out so they can start fresh. And to me, it's just everything that they've done just is logical. And I think even the average fan can see what the plan is, and it looks like there's a lot of common sense behind it. And I think that's why people are feeling good about it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy. I feel good about it. I'm happy people are feeling good about it. Again, I think Brian's he's a consummate competitor and leader and coach. I think, Chris is a very experienced personnel guy who doesn't have an ego, who's collaborative. I think, you talk about building a team, on the offensive line and on the line of scrimmage, and it starts there. You talk about, getting guys that are character, guys that have leadership, that love the game of football. You've heard Brian talk about it. We want guys that love the game of football, that are team first, that compete, that are mentally and physically tough. These are the types of players that we want to bring in here. And I think, Brian and Chris were deliberate about doing that. And I think that's going to be, you're going to have an identity for this team, moving forward. I believe, that's going to be a reflection of the coach and of Chris, and hopefully that translates into great performance on the field. And I believe in what they're doing, and I believe that there's a deliberate plan about how we're going about this to try to build something sustainable for the long term. So I'm excited about it, and but there's a lot of work to do.
Tom, you usually are playing chess when everybody's playing checkers, because you, just like the plan you had for COVID-19, if it's down to 15,000 fans, you already have a plan in place because you're that guy. So I'm wondering that you have done such a freaking phenomenal job of making the experience at the stadium so much easier to drive in, drive out, walk in, walk out, experience inside. The amenities have grown from the roof and the clubs and everything else that you've done, which has been just awesome. So now you've got a little bit of a challenge now, because if you do go through a season where you don't have fans in the stadium, Tom, how are you making the experience on TV? Because now all your fans are going to be on TV, on .com, those kind of things. So what are you doing to try to elevate that experience if that's going to be your main draw from here on out? Are there any ideas in the work? Talk about those challenges for you, because, man, you killed it at the stadium, and this year we may not be able to enjoy that beautiful stadium. So how are you trying to improve Dolphin experience by viewership?
Well, we're trying to stay engaged, with fans. I think that's one way. We send everybody, all our season ticket members anyway, a special package to stay engaged with them. I don't know if you saw, what we did with the draft. We had a virtual draft party on the Facebook group, and, we became the number one group in U.S. sports on Facebook in terms of size. We became the number 5 group in Facebook group size in global sports. And so, and we had a lot of, we led in engagements for the draft on Facebook and our growth rates there. And so we're going to use social media. We're going to try to provide more information. We're going to try to engage with our fans and not in a hopefully, disruptive or interruptive or annoying way, but in a way that provides value to them and in a way they want to be engaged, that they opt into, and just try to provide them with more information, more connectivity, more engagement. So that doesn't just happen at the stadium, and it happens year round, and it happens through technology and in other ways. And if we can keep them connected with us and connected with each other, that's kind of the goal. So we want to help improve their experience in a way that's additive to them, not interruptive to them.
All right, one more thing I got to ask you, because I get it asked pretty much every day on the show, and I would like to see the change too. And I know we talked about it a couple years ago, and you told me that there's a certain amount of time you have to wait before you can make any of these kind of changes and file with the league. What is the latest with the logo? Is this going to be the logo moving forward, or is there some talk about going back to the old logo, or at least an old logo that kind of maybe with a little bit of a new twist that you guys may add to it, or like they did in the 90s and things like that? So tell us about the logo. Are there any plans to make any changes down the line?
Well, I think, look, when I got here, the new logo and uniforms were in place. I think, one of the first things I wanted to do was bring back the 66 throwbacks. I think, and we brought those back in 2015. There were so many iterations in between. And it's like, well, these are the classic uniforms, the very first logo, the very first uniform. Let's bring this back. And, it certainly has received, fans love it. The players love it. I love it. But, the new uniforms are a modern look too, that a lot of people like as well. And as of right now, I can't speak to plans for the future. I can say that right now, the timing of today, where we are, these are our current uniforms. We love wearing the throwbacks. We'll continue to wear them and to honor the past. They're special. We try to save them for special games and use them in that way. And that's kind of where we're at on the uniforms. And so I listen to the fans. I hear the fans. I think we try to be very responsive to the fans. This is a more complicated issue from the standpoint of the timing and all the different constituents that are involved with the league and the manufacturers and everything that goes into it. But we love wearing the throwbacks, and we'll continue to see them.
How many years do you have to wait till you're able to make that move?
I'm not at liberty to talk about the league rules or whether we will make the move or not. I think right now the uniforms are what they are, and we'll continue to wear the throwbacks, to honor the past and those special games.
You feel it, right? You feel it from the fans that they want that change, right?
No question. I love them too. I love those uniforms too.
Yeah. All right. So
I brought them back.
I know. Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is why I admire you so damn much, because you're always playing chess when everybody's playing checkers. You're always ahead. We've seen what you've done since you took over. You've been a monster, man. What you've done with that stadium, I appreciate it, not just as a sports fan, hell, as a concert goer, too. You've made that place even better for concerts. So, nobody can argue with what you guys are doing. And one more thing, can I suggest one thing? Just, pass it on. Just one thing, can I suggest?
Of course.
Okay. You're building the new practice facility, correct? Correct? Yeah. Can we call it the Don Shula practice facility and then whatever sponsor brought to? Because Shula beat you in practice. His teams were always the smarter teams, the ones that are most prepared, the least penalized, kind of a lot like what Flores did last year, by the way. That was very Shula-esque with a whole bunch of young guys, and they were one of the least penalized teams. They rarely actually beat themselves. It was very Shula. I'm just saying the practice facility, maybe name it Don Shula Practice Facility, since that's the man that, knew how to prepare players. And what better place to honor Shula than a practice facility? That's all I'm saying. Just throwing it out there.
It's a great idea. We'll take it under consideration, and I appreciate your nice comments. And, we've got a great team of people at the Dolphins that work hard, and I'm proud of, we just had an all-employee Zoom call here, 300 people on it before I got on this call. And I can tell you, I'm just really proud of the organization, proud of the team, proud of our leadership team and the people that, everybody works really hard, and there's just a lot of creative, smart people, great people that work together collaboratively. And the organization's in a really good place, and we've got a great owner, and there's a lot of things to be excited about for the future of the Dolphins.
Well, my brother, it takes leadership, man, and you definitely provide it, Tom, and I appreciate you being a stud, taking some time to talk to us and handling even a couple little difficult questions there at the end. I appreciate you. The fans thank you, and wish you the best, my man. Hang in there, stay COVID-free, and let's do it upright for Don Shula. He deserves it.
You too. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Stay safe.
Thank you, Tom. You got it. There you go. Tom Garfinkel, Vice Chairman, President, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium.
We're always in control, and when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins.
There we go. All right, he was great. He was great, as always. Appreciate him, and even handled all the tough questions there. The uniforms, he feels it. I mean, well, he even threw it. That's why I brought the old ones back, because I talked to him about this a couple years back. I'd have to go find the interview, and he told me that they needed to wait a certain amount of years to then file for it. And I think it's somewhere around 10 years. And then within the next 5 after that. So it's like a 10 to 15-year process or something. I forgot. He didn't want to get into it now because obviously it then becomes more of a story. But I think he senses it that some changes need to happen with that one. So there you go. Josh says, thank you. Oh, thank you, Josh, for tuning in, for watching. Drewbo chiming in, saying Super Bowl. Myron Sanchez. Alexa B, thanks for that. Appreciate you all, of course, keeping it locked. Let's see, what else do we have here on the lines? Jerry Ayers says, and Don Shula practice facility, love the idea. Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, I'm the guy said fire Tannenbaum and Gase and put Greer in place. They followed me there, right? They did what I wanted. It's not like I have bad suggestions. So Don Shula practice facility would not be, a bad idea. Don Shula practice facility presented by the Cleveland Clinic. There you go. You still get your sponsor in, but it's the Don Shula practice facility, right? So there you go. NorCal says Tom does a great job staying in touch with fan clubs worldwide. Tom Garfinkel is an ass kicker, bro. When people are good at their job, you gotta just tell them about it. Give it to them, man. Present it. Say, this is your stud. You're a great person. You deserve credit. And Tom Garfinkel is one of those. His laugh is so soothing, or is it just me? Whose laugh is that, Alexa? Whose laugh is soothing? Marta says, block them. I already did. I blocked the idiot.
What?
There was some idiot there, Kubele or some crap like that. He just kept putting "you eat ass" or something. I think it was "you eat ass."
Oh, I was wondering if the Ohos were back.
Yeah, no, it was "you eat ass," and it's like, okay, it all depends. It may not be a bad thing.
Maybe he's a JETS sucks.
Is that supposed to be like an insult to somebody? You eat ass. Well, okay.
I was going to say something that'd probably be inappropriate, so let me just keep my mouth shut.
Yes.
I will do that.
Julius 305 on the super chat saying, great show today, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you all for supporting us. However you support us here, super chat, regular chat, watching, downloading, all of that. Make sure you share. Dougie Fresh says, oh, why don't you get your man to produce a new Finn's fight song, please? It's funny you said that because I talked to Steven Carter, and Steven Carter could be doing, well, he is doing a new open for us. That's one. And then doing a Dolphin song, which is another. So there you go. So, and if anybody out there has got a band that maybe you think you can produce something, we'll give you a little love on the show. NorCal says, Tom, thank you for the efforts of Robert and Kelly with Fan Club Info. There you go. I love it. Man of 1,005 holds. Love the interview. George says, what a way to honor Shula. Name the practice facility after him and bring back the old logo and uniforms with his initials. You can do it, Tom. Get it done. And Ernesto says, oh, I remember watching the Don Shula show on Mondays. How long did that show run for? A long time, man. Long time.
You know what's one I actually went to? You could go on YouTube. I did it yesterday. Chuck Dowdle hosting the Don Shula show, and it's the one prior to us appearing in Super Bowl 19.
You want to get Chuck Dowdle on the show?
Isn't he in Atlanta?
Been in Atlanta forever. I can get Chuck Dowell on the show. I used to get Chuck Dowell on the show every year when I was at the SEC Media Days because he was there covering the SEC Media Days, Georgia.
I think we did have him. Did we not have him on when we were at that other Mickey Mouse place?
At that 1210 crap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I maybe. I don't know.
I want to say we did.
Yeah,
I want to say we did one day.
We could. I know Chuck. So it's cool. We can definitely get him on. So I could do that if we want.
But yeah, there's some.
That was one of those newscasters you look forward to because he was good. He would do his job. Chuck Dowell was really
guys,
good. Really good dude, by the way. Also,
there are some of them on YouTube. Go check them out.
I'm sure everything's on YouTube, bro.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
Everything's on YouTube, man. Let's show our big boy some love. Thank you, George, as always, for posting that about the shares and the subscribes. Love it. Let's see. Giving us some sweet tea. We try. I think Logo Rules is 7 years, but not sure. Great interview as always, dude. I think you might be right, but I don't know why I was thinking between 7 to 10 years, and then it's like another 5 for the process or some crap like that. I remember he said it was like it's a process. Like it sucks. Okay? Monday night before Monday Night Football, the Don Shula show. Yes. What is it? It was a Tinsley production. It was
that's good. That's really good.
I remember. Oh man, it was right off of Key Biscayne. That white building that is just when you're going into Key Biscayne, before you go into Key Biscayne, to your left, to the right, there was like this island that had a white building there. That's where the show was filmed. And something Tinsley Productions. Does anybody remember? Anybody remember the if you remember the rest, that's pretty good.
There was always the jeweler's certificate for the guests.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Damn it, what was that thing, man? Oh, I'm trying to remember the announcer's voice and saying the name of the show and the production and all that. And I know because I can always remember, like Streets of San Francisco, a Quinn Martin production. That kind of stuff. It's Tinsley something broadcasting. And
isn't it Tinsley Sports?
I don't know, man. I don't know why I'm imagining that there was another name with Tinsley than maybe sports or broadcasting or something along those lines. I forgot what it was.
I think it was something Tinsley Sports Media Production.
Howard Tinsley? I don't think it's Howard Tinsley. I don't know. Mark Tinsley? Everybody's chiming in with different things. And somebody's putting, is it Tinsley Sports Production? I just think there was another name, man. It was just another name, and I can't remember what it was. It was a while ago, man. It's hard to remember all these stupid little things, right? Anyway, all right, it is time to wrap it up here on the show since we've done almost 4 hours on the broadcast and a lot of interviews today. Today, now I feel Tinsley Sports Network. Is that what it was? I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up and try to find it. But today I feel better, because I didn't think we did enough on Shula yesterday. And I was able to talk about some of my personal things. And obviously we got 2 great players on in Webb and Sims. I mean, those are 2 enormous players in the Shula era. But to be able to get Larry Little on from obviously the 72 era, to get Baumhauer on, another one from another era. Then you got Troy Stratford from another era, and you've got Tom Garfinkel. And then a guy like Andy Cohen that saw it all. You know what I mean? A lot of perspective there today on Don Shula. So I thought that was pretty cool. People are trying to continue with the Mark Tinsley. So maybe it was Mark. I have no idea. I don't remember now. Okay.
I'm looking at YouTube right now. They've got 73 black and white from Super Bowl 7, Don Shula show. They've got a week 6 from 1983. I'm going to guess that that's probably when they decided to start Marino. Because I did see a specific, we're going to start Marino this week, in a little intro for one of the YouTubes. There's Chuck Dowdle with Chuck Studley, one of the coaches on the show. Yeah, man.
I remember Studley.
Go check it out. If you're old, you go back, it'll take you back in time.
No doubt. All right, on behalf of Bill and Philippe, appreciate all of you for keeping it locked here, for supporting us like you do every which way, every single day.
You absolutely killed it today, brother.
Oh, we tried, brother. I don't know about that, but we did our best.
You did shoe justice.
We tried, man. We tried. I think over the last 2 days we did pretty good. We'll probably get back to a normal talk show tomorrow. Rhino, by the way, says Larry Little's a great guy. I used to deliver things to his house during the summer. That guy always tipped well and asked how I was doing, and he would introduce me to his family. A great guy. Yes, I've met Larry and had Larry on the show many, many times. I have to agree with you 1,000%. Larry Little is as cool as it gets. Dougie Fresh says, damn, great show. Oh, appreciate you all out there. Appreciate you all. Thank you for enjoying this. Bill, excellent work by you.
Tomorrow, field trip.
That's right. VSS West Pines in Pembroke Pines tomorrow, starting off at noon, every other day at 11. But for the next couple of Wednesdays over at VSS West Pines, we will start off at noon. You all be good out there, all right? Take it easy.
Have a good night. Be safe.